Well, hello everybody, and welcome to the 350th edition of the Boxing Asylum Nuthouse podcast. I'm your host, Steve Wellings. Joining me on the call, we have Ozzy Smith, Andy Patterson, and Adam Smido Smith. Welcome to you all. Thanks as always for listening. Whether it's Sundays on Mixler, Mondays on YouTube, Soundcloud, or iTunes, or Fridays on Pornhub, good to have you here. A heavy-hitting show is expected tonight. We've got a guest coming on around 8:30. That is John Ryder. Will be telling us about his fight from the weekend. We've got big one-punch knockouts, scoring controversies. No doubt there'll be a few epic rants along the way. Questions, comments, guests, Bellew of the Weeks. A few sound clips as well, thrown in for good measure. Let's start off though, shall we? Over in America. Just checking up here where the hell it was. It was Las Vegas. I thought it was. I was thinking New York for a second, but it was Las Vegas. Deontay Wilder rematch against Luis Ortiz. We'll start there first of all. This isn't revolutionary thinking, but I picked Deontay Wilder by knockout last week, earlier than the last time, because I felt that Luis Ortiz was just too old. I don't subscribe to the talk that he's 60 plus, but I genuinely think this guy is like, say, 48, 49. That's a nice number for Luis Ortiz. I'm going to say he's 48 years of age. And this guy has a lot of ability and a really sharp boxing brain. Watch the footwork, watch the feints, watch the traps that he sets, Andy. He knows what to do, but I think that Ortiz, I am getting to a point here, his body just can't keep up over the longer distances. He was blowing a bit after the third round. Wilder knew what he needed to do to soften him up, make him work for those first six, then drop the axe, and that's exactly what he did. The opening probably came a round or two earlier than even he expected, but I think if you shave 15 years off Luis Ortiz, you'd have one hell of a fighter who could sustain a 12-round pace, and he has the beating of any of them. This version of Ortiz, Andy, he can't do that. Wilder knew it, Heyman knew it, the people behind the scenes knew it, and that's why they made this rematch.
Yeah, I suppose it's a takeover as well. I think I can't fully recall, but I think I was pretty much spot on with what I was saying last week, how it would go. I don't know if I got the round right or whatever and stuff, but it was, can we just say that the ending, okay, I had him behind. He's just patient. As I say, is that the guy is as serious and as dangerous from the first second to the first round to the last second of the 12th round. It doesn't matter, man. I mean, he could be losing the fight, he could be pawing with a jab, he's just kind of looking for his opening. If he connects with you, and as I say to Osnat as well before I start the show, I don't think he actually caught Ortiz fully with the right hand. It looked like he kind of caught him with the kind of bottom half of the right hand, and it didn't get full extension on it either, and he still knocked the guy out. Not so much knock him out, his facial expression when he got knocked out, when the shot landed, his facial expression never changed. As soon as he hit the floor, he's like, oh, what the fuck? It was like a bad night in the whiskey, man. When just looking at the guy when he's lying there, it was just a bad knockout. Bad knockout. I take everything you're saying about the age and stuff, but be real about it. Ortiz is going to cause any up and coming contender problems. So it was evident that he was going to cause. We know what Wilder is. Technical wise, I know he's limited and stuff. He has shown improvements. As I say, he's dangerous. First to the 12th, patient. He just never seems to kind of get flustered as such and that. But when he cuts loose, man, we can have it straight as well, because there was question marks about his chin, about his stamina and that. He's passed that test. He is what he is, technical wise. He's going to paw by the jab. He's just going to look for that opening at all times. And if he does land by anybody, apart from Fury, obviously, he's just going to take you out. I'm not wanting to get into the pay-per-view aspect of things and stuff like that, because that's just boring. We can just talk about the fight itself and that. Wilder, his post-fight comments and stuff, I'm willing to respect what he's saying. Yeah, he is at this point, he is one of the hardest hitters at all times. I'm not going to put him absolute top pantheons and stuff like that, but he's definitely somewhere in the top 30, top 50, absolutely without question. I guess we'd need to sit and break it down a wee bit in that, but Ortiz, age-wise, is all obviously up for debate, but as I say, he's going to cause anybody problems and that. He was in fantastic shape, really took it seriously. He had the proper training camp and stuff like that. There's no excuses, and he just got done by one of probably the hardest hitter in the sport at this point. Emphatic knockout, and it's what you want. And he seems to be kind of sitting on now that the fact is he's hoping for the Fury rematch in February and that. So it's both guys I think are freed up. I don't know if Fury's got any more obligations with the WWE or whatever and that, but he's there should be no obstacles now for that fight to get made. Get that rematch made. Let Ortiz, Joshua get their shit at the rod, and we can take it from there.
Let's get that rematch made. Andy speaks for the majority of the boxing public, I would say. As I said before on this pod, I like Luis Ortiz. I know he's a big cheating bastard with the PEDs, but he has a charm about him. I've always warmed to him for some reason. He tried his best, and he mentioned the face there. I thought he tried his best to actually ride out the knockdown. He tried to make it look like he hadn't just been rewired. He attempted a confused sort of, why did they stop it face? But he was absolutely confused. He must have a decent chin, Andy. I know that sounds like a stupid thing to say, but within about 20 seconds, he seemed lucid enough, but obviously by that point, it's way too late. But he tried his best to ride it out, I think, facially.
He did try. Well, I think you know it was facially when he actually, before the right hand landed, he actually gave Wilder a cheeky wee grin, and then bang, the fucking right hand landed. Down he goes with that look on his face. To me, it was a kind of mini version of Berbick trying to go up against Tyson. But as you say, a decent chin. But as I say, Wilder is just, if he detonates a shot like that, it's like 99% of chances you're going to go like.
Yeah, Hamed in the chat says Ortiz can take a shot but gets hit square on. Evening to Tosh as well. War Inoue, Zorro Islam, Matthew Russell, a few of the boys hanging around. No sign of Jason Chukwu just yet. I will inform you all, of course, as soon as Chukwu makes his evening appearance whenever he wakes up. Smido, no waking up for you. You're already pumped up and ready to go. Greg Cross over on Patreon asked you a question specifically. He said, Smido, how do you beat Deontay Wilder? Ortiz was outboxing him, and I thought at one point Wilder looked hurt to the body, but give him enough time and bang, his right hand. Jesus, only if Ortiz went for it a bit more when Wilder was tentative. I think you can get to him, but you have to do it early, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think you can knock him out, but to knock him out and to get to his chin, you've got to take massive risks, and that risk in regard to Wilder is risking eating one in order to get to his chin with the length of his reach and stuff like that, and his gangly nature. That's difficult to do, but I think he can definitely be knocked out. But it's like I say, you've just got to take massive risks to get there. There's no cute way of doing it. I just think you've got to eat punches and have a firefight with him and hope that you come out on top. And many won't. But I think we've seen him hurt before. We've seen him hurt by going way back to Eric Molina. I thought had him hurt a little bit. Fury a couple of times late on. I thought Spilker caused him a little bit of trouble early, but none of them are massive punchers. If you get him in with someone who can punch, it might be a different story. But it's sensational to watch because the first few rounds of the fight weren't particularly exciting, and we've seen that in Wilder fights before, but and again last night, but. Like everyone at home and particularly in the crowd is just waiting for that bomb to go off. And when it goes off, it is sensational. And as I think Wilder sums it up quite well himself, he says that to beat him, they've got to concentrate for 36 minutes, but he only needs 2 seconds and the fight's over. The only thing I would say on last night particularly, and I agree with Steve, everyone knew the script. Everyone knew that Ortiz... tricky early on, can't keep it up for 8 rounds, never mind 12. And I thought Wilder kind of boxed last night as if he believed in his own hype in terms of his punching power. You wouldn't want to see Wilder adopt that strategy, for the rest of his career, particularly against people like Fury, where really he should have got beat on the cards if it wasn't for the knockdowns. So he's clearly going to give rounds away if he elects to. Basically fight 36 minutes in order to land one punch. It could be a risky strategy going forward, but I think against someone with better stamina and more mobility, he might box a little bit differently. But that said, against Fury, most people, even with the knockdowns, a lot of people argue that Fury should have still won that fight. So is another one that might benefit from American judging in the past, similar to Mr. Canelo, even though he's not American. But yeah, just brilliant. And as Andy said, he's knocking people out without even landing fully flush, and we've seen that more than a few times, not just last night. But it just makes it even more remarkable how Fury got off the canvas. I only watched that round back again today. Not only did he eat the right hand, Fury, pretty flush. I know he was trying to bend out the way, but he ate a left hook as well, and he was on the floor. It was still on his back at 7. So yeah, it's the one we want to see. But I don't know. I'm just a bit. I'm sceptical whether to the Fury and Fury and Wilder fights that happen in February. I hope it does, but I am
Smido, stay sceptical, even if I can say it over there. I'm just going to bring our first guest of the evening in. Smido, you don't mind me interrupting you 1 second?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. Adam Smido Smith, we've had to shut him up to welcome our first guest of the evening on the call. It's Liam Dillon. How are you, Liam?
I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Not too bad at all. We're just talking about Deontay Wilder. Did you manage to see his emphatic knockout of Luis Ortiz last night?
I only saw the clip of the knockout on Instagram. I didn't watch the whole fight. He very, very good right hand, put Ortiz over. I had a feeling he was going to do that anyway.
Yeah, he's some puncher. Just looking up at your big fight coming up on November the 30th in the York Hall against Yusuf Kamari. How's the training been going, Liam?
Training's been going fantastic. Best shape I've been in physically and mentally. I'm really looking forward to getting in there and just showing everyone what I've been working on, the improvements I've made.
You guys are very well matched, it would seem. You both turned pro in 2017. You're currently 9-0 with 2 knockouts. Yusuf's 10-0 with 3 knockouts. And both of you guys stepped up in levels against the same fella, David Birmingham. You knocked him out in 7. Yusuf won in 6. This looks like a bit of a 50-50, maybe?
He's built up as a 50-50 fight. I mean, I've really upped the training for this fight. I know Yusuf's going to bring it. I mean, as you said, like, we both come up together. We've kind of been circling each other. I've always had my eye on him, to be honest. Seen a lot of his fights. I had a feeling it was going to happen one day. And, it's happening for the English title. And, preparation's going very well, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, you mentioned there, when you beat David Birmingham, you took home the vacant English super featherweight title. That title will be on the line against Yusuf. How does that change the mindset, knowing that you're a champion of sorts and you are entering the fight with something to protect now?
I won the southern area of David Birmingham. This is the English title's vacant.
Apologies. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, but I've been in a championship fight. It's new to Yusuf. It was a different sort of experience fighting for a title. Like the build up in that, but the English title's on the line. It's another title I can add to my legacy, really, and I think I'm really looking forward to this.
Every fight you've had so far, including this one, will have been in the same venue, the York Hall. I suppose if it works, then why change it?
It's local. It's easy to run. It's a train station. Everyone from here, from all my friends and family can get there very easily. So, there's no point travelling up somewhere far, making it difficult for people having to organise coaches and things. So, to all my friends and family who can't drive, it's perfect.
Just to remind our listeners, we have unbeaten prospect Liam Dillon on the call. Liam's 9-0, fighting next Saturday. Any social media presences that anyone can follow you with, Liam?
Instagram, Liam Taz. And you can go on Facebook, find me under Liam Dillon.
So we're just back to the show then, last couple of questions for you. It's a huge show. Credit to Steve Goodwin for putting it all together. You've got Linus Adofia, you've got Echo Esserman, Ryan Walker. Where do you fit in with the ecosystem of the card? So who's headlining? Do you know what time you'll be on at?
I think all the English title fights will kind of be all main events equal. I think my fight's the only one with 2 Goodwin fighters on it. Both fighting like each other, so I don't know how what's main event. I don't know the running order yet. That'll probably be released 2 days before the fight. But it's a really good show. I feel like if I wasn't fighting on it, I'd like to go watch it. Very good 50-50 fights on the bill. Yeah,
it's a really well put together show. We mentioned Steve Goodwin there. He's a good guy doing good things for grassroots boxing in the UK. So what were your options when you turned pro? What made you decide to sign with someone like Steve?
My stablemate Matthew Charter was a fighter of his at the time. He always spoke very highly of him. My coach, Steve Kipps, he spoke very highly of Steve Goodwin. He put on some... I've been to quite a few of his shows, and he put on some brilliant shows, some great fights. And I think he's he's just won an award for the Southern Area Promoter of the Year, I think it is. And he's really good, really nice bloke. I can't say a bad word about him, to be honest. And he puts on great shows.
Yeah, Steve Goodwin's a good guy. We've had him on. Just final one about your training setup then. So the guys who are training you used to train Ryan Rhodes back in the day, is that right?
No, they trained Jason Matthews, who boxed Ryan Rhodes.
All right, okay. I'm making mistakes all over tonight. I must have taken a few many punches over the weekend, Liam. I do apologise. Tell me more.
They trained Jason Matthews, who won a world title, an ABA title, and they trained Ian Napa for his first world title challenge, ABA champion. They were head trainers. Steve Kitts were head trainers down Crown and Manor. They've trained Matthew Chanda, Southern Area champion. So there's a lot of experience there. I mean, they've trained fighters at world level, and I feel blessed to have people like this in my corner.
You certainly should be. Final couple then, AJ Ruiz rematch going ahead in early December. Who do you think's going to win?
I shouldn't really be saying this, but it's going to be a very interesting fight. I kind of edged towards Ruiz the first time. I felt like the style, that short, come forward style, fast, explosive, high volume punching was going to give AJ trouble. Obviously, he knocked him down the first time. Maybe he can land that shot the second time and maybe put him out. But I'm looking forward to see how the tactics change of both fighters. I'm looking forward to that one. I think he is a 50-50 fight.
What about the pay-per-view? It's gone up to £25. It's starting to get a bit dear now.
It is, yeah. It's a bit annoying, but I mean, I wouldn't want to miss that fight. That's the thing. If it was another pay-per-view show that had been on a while ago, if it was the first fight, I feel like I probably wouldn't have paid to watch it. But this is something I have to watch live.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Just finally, then, what about Fury versus Wilder? If they get it on in a rematch, who do you fancy for that?
From the first fight, Fury proved that he can outbox Wilder very easily. He outboxed him 95% of that fight. What really put Wilder up on the scorecards was obviously the 2 knockdowns. So it shows that Wilder can hurt Fury, but Fury can outbox Wilder. So that's another one that's 50-50. I mean, watching that fight was a very good fight. That was a brilliant last round. That's probably the round of the year, definitely. But yeah, I feel like I can't call that one at all.
I'm calling it. I think Wilder's going to knock him out this time.
I can see either thing. I can see Fury outclassing Wilder and outboxing him over 12 rounds, and I can see Wilder knocking him out. But Fury took the cleanest shot off Wilder and took another one when he was on his way down and still got up. So he has got a chin and he's got heart. And yeah, it's very, very interesting. But Wilder's that guy, he can change a fight in one punch.
Yeah, he does say that you can outbox him, but it just takes him one opportunity. Liam, absolute pleasure having you on. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday evening, and best of luck next week against Yusuf. I think you're going to get the job done. Remind us of your social media.
Thanks very much. Been a pleasure.
Thanks very much, Liam. All the best now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Liam Dillon there. Yeah, apologies to Liam. I made a mess of a couple of them questions. I was being distracted, unprofessionally distracted. What was going on, boys? A few of the lads were saying that the chat had stopped. To be honest now, everything seemed to be still working my end. You know, everything was flashing away as it should be.
Fine, mate. Everything was fine.
Anyone lost me?
No, everything was fine, mate. I
it?
checked it out. Yeah,
okay.
It was fine.
Excellent. Thanks to Liam Dillon there. And we shall move on. Smido, I cut you off in your prime. I do apologise for that. What were you saying? Was it interesting? Is it worth repeating?
No, I was finished, Steve. To be honest, it worked perfectly well.
Great stuff, Ozzy. Let's bring you in then, shall we? Just before we bring on our second guest of the evening. Paul Massingham jumped in with a question. That was on Callum Smith, John Ryder, so I'm going to put that to one side. Thanks for that, Paul. There was another question about Deontay Wilder from Gary Fortune. This is the one, Ozzy. He said, has any other world champion lost as many rounds as Wilder and reigned for this long? I had him down against Washington, down against Spilka, De Happes, Ortiz twice and Tyson Fury. Can't be anyone else who's lost so many rounds but still stays champion with that right hand. Madness.
Probably not. And it's understandable because, as you say, he regularly gives rounds away. I had him losing every round last night and quite comfortably as well. He struggled. I thought he got tagged quite often as well. And then the equaliser just came from nowhere because seconds before that, Ortiz was landing some excellent left hands at will. And then, from essentially from nowhere, bang, and it was lights out. And as you say, Ortiz got a bit, and he looked confused. It's like he didn't know where it had come from, what had happened. I mean, I've seen that he's claimed that his head was clear and the count was a bit quick. That count was absolutely fine, and had he been allowed to continue, he would have suffered some serious damage because he was certainly in no position to continue. And Deontay Wilder did exactly what we thought he would. I got to admit, I thought it would have been earlier. I don't think it's a shock that he was behind on the cards and he was losing, because we've seen that quite often now. But as he says, and as everybody says, that right hand can change a fight at any point. Any point. He could be hurt, and I think he can still throw that right hand and it'll be an equaliser. And it's a weapon. I give him credit. Look, people slate him and say he's basic, he's not very good. But look, the guy's no idiot. He had a good amateur career. And then, what is he now? 42-0, one draw, and he's ironing people out. And some fighters can rely on the power, and it gets them so far. But this guy's knocking out legit contenders and in emphatic fashion. And it's not, a barrage of shots. This is one punch power, and it's rare you see it. And I mean, it's fascinating to watch. It's absolutely fascinating. He's never in a boring fight because that at any point of the fight, the opponent can be on the deck. I mean, it's going to take us on to the Tyson Fury fight now, and that is going to be so tense because, as we saw in the first fight, Fury toyed with him at times and played with him, but still was down twice. From what we say, I think Wilder's going to go after him. I think he's going to try and hunt Fury down. I think he's going to look for that knockout early. If Fury can avoid it and avoid the big equaliser, then I think he wins the fight. If Wilder does land cleanly, I don't see Fury getting up for again. I think the power is just there. I don't think it was, it was a clear. I mean, I still to this day don't know how the hell he got up first time round, Tyson Fury, because that was a heavy shot, and he took one on the way down as well, and he somehow got up. Unbelievable, and it shows that Fury can take a shot. Because, I mean, look, he finished the 12th and won it. I think people forget that. Or certainly finished the stronger out of the two fighters. But it's a fascinating contest, and I just hope nothing gets in the way of it whatsoever. It's seemingly all agreed, behind the scenes, venue, etc., things like that. And it's a massive fight to look forward to kick off 2020.
Yeah, Wilder, he does get outboxed at times, but by the same token, I don't think he really broke sweat that much. He's a mature champion now. He uses his jab well, better than people give him credit for. He waits for an opportunity to present itself. He struck me last night as somebody who just felt like it would come. He saw Ortiz's hands weren't coming back up to the chin as quickly as the rounds went on. Ortiz even shook his arms out a couple of times, which is a signal, as you guys know, of fatigue. Wilder was calm, he was measured, he was patient. He just looked like someone who felt it was just going to arrive at any time, I thought, Ozzy.
Yeah, I thought Ortiz started to breathe heavily as well towards the back end of the sixth, particularly in the seventh as well. And like you say, I don't think he did anything wrong, though. Like you can say, like he lost a bit of concentration and things like that. He didn't. It's boxing. You're going to get hit, and it's just being hit by somebody like that. Then it's always going to be a struggle. It was, like I say, it was an impressive finish, but in reality, it wasn't an impressive showing from Wilder because he lost every round. You can only compliment the finish. The rest of it, he was completely outboxed. I mean, I saw, is it a guy called Larry Hazard who had him ahead in the fight? I just don't understand that at all. I just don't get it. I don't see how you could have had Wilder ahead in that fight at that point. Nigh on impossible. I just don't see what you did. Or what he saw. He's clearly on the payroll just to, influence viewers and stuff like that. But it's coming now from where viewers aren't stupid, and they can. I think even the most biased of people can realise, who's ahead and who's not. And we saw that from the weekend. But no, it's certainly an exciting time for the heavyweight division. We've got Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz in a couple of weeks' time. The winner of that will probably no doubt have to take on a mandatory whilst Wilder will box Fury. And then there is no reason why we cannot see the winner of Wilder and Fury and Joshua and Ruiz battle it out next year in what will be a super fight. There is no reason why we cannot see it. All the belts will be on the line. There is as much money as you'll get in the sport at the moment. TV channels, countries will be queuing up to chuck tens of millions of dollars at it. Fingers crossed we just see it, because look, Deontay Wilder's 34 now and he's not getting any younger. I've no doubt that Andy Ruiz, should he come through, will definitely take the fight. And likewise, if Tyson Fury wins, I've no doubt that he will also go on and take the fight as well. Fingers crossed that promotional things just don't come in the way of it, because it'll be a real shame for the fans that we'll be able to see, like all the belts on the line between one potentially master boxer or a huge puncher and the winner of Joshua and Andy Ruiz.
Andy, I know you refused to watch any of the undercard. I watched the first 8 rounds of Figueroa against Ceja, and then I got fed up, so I fast-forwarded it to the end. I had the Leo Santa Cruz fight downloaded against Miguel Flores, and then I accidentally clicked on something that revealed Leo Santa Cruz cruises to a points win over Miguel Flores, so I refused to watch it, Andy. I said, I'm not going to even watch it. I've got it sitting on the computer, and there's no way I'm watching that. I know you didn't watch either of them either, but I want to hear your opinion on a fight that didn't happen. A few of the guys are saying they want Andy to unleash the rage, and you know who is going to be the recipient of this rage. As I get my phone, Andy, let rip.
Yep, I'll let rip. I don't want to go too balls deep because my son's just trying to sleep there actually, so I'll keep it kind of try and mellow. But can we just say this? Lewis Neri, I said it last week, prick. So I'm going to say prick, because this guy, as I say, he has been kowtowed to by the WBC. He has been told to meet certain stipulations by the WBC at his own cost for drug testing purposes and stuff. He has missed weight now. I think I'm pretty certain it's at least twice, I don't know if it's 3 times. Busted for drugs. You're on the gut end of a $300,000 payday, and you miss weight by £1, and you decide, fuck it, I ain't making it. So you say to yourself, okay, unprofessional. You got 2 jobs to make weight and fight, right? No, I might be sounding quite simplistic by saying that. I'm maybe naive or whatever and that. But in the day, you're a fighter, and that's your 2 jobs. Steve, when you go, mate.
Absolutely, thanks very much, Andy. We have the man of the moment, should have been the man of the moment over the weekend in the eyes of many people, John Ryder. Thanks for joining us, John.
Thank you for having me on.
No problem at all. Not going to put any words in your mouth, John. Tell me how you're feeling, pretty much how you felt whenever the scores were read out. How you feeling now?
Well, a little bit more fuller in the belly now, but yeah, I mean, it's one of them things, and it's like a bit of sweet. I feel like my credibility has shot up like no one believe, but I do believe I should be sat here as a WBA super middleweight champion of the world and Ring Magazine champion of the world. So it's a bitter pill to swallow, but I mean, I've come away feeling like a champion. So what else can I take from that?
Fighting away from home, Callum's the favourite. What goes through your mind, John, whenever they're reading out those scores, especially 117, 111? What are you thinking in that split second?
Well, I initially thought 117, 111. I thought, right, that's a hometown decision, and I thought, right, we'll see what the other 2 are. They'll be a bit closer, and I'll get it on these, but weren't to be.
Danny Young in the chat says, John boxed excellently last night. What was the game plan? So what did you work on exactly, and did it pretty much go to plan for you?
Yeah, pretty much. I'd not planned on really like throwing a shot for the first round, and I mean, I initially in the first round I was a lot more comfortable than I thought I would be, and was slipping a lot more easily. So I ended up throwing a few shots in the first round, but I know he's dangerous in the first 6. So my plan was that he didn't think he'd have much in the second half of the fight, so we'd try and match him early on and build momentum in the second half. And I think that pretty much went to plan. I wasn't taking big shots. I was blocking a lot and countering, and I think the plan went pretty as planned.
Yeah, a few people in the chat putting things in. Lady Marsh says absolutely gutted for John. War Inoue says Eddie wants Smith to be a star so badly, but he just isn't. What about Callum Smith then? We spoke to you obviously in the build-up about things you were going to do. He's a tall, lean guy. Did he box to expectations? Did he bring what you expected?
Yeah, he didn't. I mean, I thought the jab would be a lot better of a tool. I think his jab's a lot different coming forward. It's a lot more of a tool. When he's on the back foot, it's more of a pull with the jab. He's just putting it out there just to try and keep you at bay. But I think when he's come forward, he's really piston-like with it. But on the back foot, he's not as strong with it.
A few of the guys in the chat as well asking about his punching power. Obviously, it's much vaunted. Did you feel the shots? How hard did he hit?
Luckily, I kept my guard up well yesterday and took a lot on the gloves. I mean, his power's there, don't get it wrong, he's world class, isn't he? I mean, world class for a reason. But yeah, I didn't at one point feel uncomfortable in there. I felt like I'd been in with punchers of the same calibre at all levels in boxing.
I'd obviously mention the rematch to you, but the way they were all talking, they're talking Canelo at Anfield, Canelo, Vegas, all these different things. It doesn't sound like Joe Gallagher or any of the guys are going to be interested or entertaining the idea of a rematch.
No, and you know what, I don't think they will be. They're looking at bigger fights, and you know what, the bigger fights been on the horizon for the last 6 months, isn't it? They've took this fight as a keep busy. I believe they still overlooked me and was always looking to the future, and there's a plan far greater than me winning last night, and it was always focused on being at Anfield or Canelo in the new year.
Yeah, you were going to upset the apple cart. You were being bought in then basically to lose. I mean, they weren't expecting you to come in and rip the script up.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I thought my plan was going to go to plan and we was going to come away victorious, and I feel like I did come away with a victory, a moral victory, if it's only that. But I feel like I've come away as an uncrowned champion as such.
John Ryder's on the call, everybody. Won't be keeping John for too much longer. Glad that he can join us. So, I mean, obviously it's the day after, so it's a bit of a daft question, but what will you be looking at next? I mean, where's your head at?
Initially, mate, just a bit of time with the family. I mean, I've been away now for 12 weeks. I've got a newborn son who's 15 weeks old, so a bit of time, family, bonding before Christmas, enjoying family time, and I mean, get back into training in a couple of weeks' time, just ticking over, and I mean, in the new year we'll be full steam ahead, looking to a massive 2020 and finally reclaiming what should be mine.
And what about Callum's ceiling? How far do you think he'll go?
I don't really know. It depends what's next for him, I suppose. I think if it's Canelo, then it'll be short-lived. If he's going to look at other options, then he could go on a bit further.
Guys like Benavidez, Caleb, Plant, to say Callum's, hang with those guys, maybe get a few unifications?
I generally don't think these unifications will happen with the likes of Plant and Benavidez. I think the crossover with Matchroom and Al Heyman is just I can't see any way in which it'll work. The only option he's got is the Billy Joe fight or Canelo. I think these are his two options really. I don't really see that the other two fights could happen for him.
Danny Young was in touch as well, John, just before we finish up. He said, given the result and the impact on your record, does the scoring in boxing mean nothing these days? John should only have 1 or 2 losses on his record, not the 5 he has. You seem to get a few bad decisions, John, I think he's saying.
Yeah, I've not had the rub of the green, have I? But listen, I've always wanted to be involved in the best fights I can possibly be, and I believe that I'm doing that. I'm not always getting the decision, but at the end of the day, I want to be remembered for being in good fights and really cement my place in boxing history. And I do also want to do that as a world champion, so that time I did start getting the rub of the green.
Absolutely. Dale Nichols just finally says John came across really dignified post-fight when he could have kicked up a storm. It's not your style, is it, to kick up a storm really like that?
No, you know what, I'd rather just be humble in victory and gracious in defeat, do you know what I mean? But I still feel like I won that fight and that I should be world champion. And I think I conduct myself in a manner of both there.
Ozzy's thrown a final one in for you, John. Sorry, the final one actually. He said, what about a fight with Billy Joe Saunders? Is that something you'd entertain, a rematch obviously?
Oh, massively, yeah. I mean, any of the world champions now, I know there's, like I say, I don't know if the compatibility there is there with the Al Heyman fighters, but Billy Joe, the rematch, or the Callum Smith rematch, I'm open to all of them.
Bring it on, exactly. John, absolute pleasure. You're a gentleman in victory or defeat. Thanks for joining us on this Sunday evening.
That's great. Thank you for having me.
All the best now. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
John Ryder there, dignified as always, friend of the pod. I thought it was close. I thought it was a close fight. It was the scoring that annoyed me more than anything. I'm not going to turn around and say that I think necessarily it was a robbery or anything. I could see Callum winning. I could see John winning. I felt it was a bit even myself. But it was the margins of the scores. And the main takeaway from the fight for me was this is a guy, Callum Smith, who they're bigging up to the heavens. And it's another one of those cases where they're telling you something, Andy, and my eyes are telling me something completely different about Smith.
As Ozzy said last week, he can be flatter to deceive. He can either ice an opponent in one round or he can go a 12-round bore fest. For me, I agree with what you say, Steve, and I agree with what Tommy said in that as well. As I had it close, I had it 115-113 to John. I get some people having it slightly weighted for John because I thought because he was putting on the pressure and stuff. For me, it was a worthy winner, but as you said, I was going to say to John, but I just thought he's sounding deflated. He's done his level best to be dignified. He's come on here and he spoke. He didn't need to do that. He could at least just kind of like said, "I'm going to sit back and just kind of be quiet about it." He's come on here and he spoke his mind as best as possible. And for me, if I was in his shoes, I'd be raging. I would definitely be raging because 117-111 is absolutely disgusting. And it's like the last 3 weeks now we've had significant fights and we've been fucked over by scorecards. And at the end of the day, rather than talk about the fights and the significance of those fights, we're getting fucked by these scorecards. And we end up discussing these scorecards more, but it should be done because last night reminded me more about Helnick losing to Alexander. And it was just like 160-112. That's just no, it's just not happening. And I was going to say to John, as I say, but because he came on the call and that, I thought I'm not going to say it. But when he heard that 170-111 scorecard coming out, I'm saying to myself, he's not won that fight. When you hear Buffer says he went to judges' scorecards, we've got a unanimous decision. 170-111, I knew then he wasn't winning the fight. If he'd come out and said majority decision or a split decision, I'm thinking to myself, alright, okay, we're in a probable ballpark here. But a UD 170-111 on the cherry on the top of it. Sorry, I can't see it. I just can't see it. I'm just, as I say, it's the last 3 weeks now. We're going to get something next week. It's just going to be like 4 weeks in the trot and that. No, I can't see it. I'm just disgusted. Why bother? Because everywhere I've looked at boxing forums, non-boxing forums, I've been on Reddit as well. They're all saying the same thing. The vast majority had John winning the fight. I could see a draw. If Smith wins it, it's not by much. But to win it by 170-111, nah, sorry, I'm checking out of this sport. Fuck that pish.
Fuck that pish, indeed.
You're a hater!
Right, I'm bringing up, just brought a little sound clip in for you there, everybody at home, enjoying the sound clips. First one of the evening, 8:45. Tina
What you been adding
Rob
it,
Kelly, we're supposed to have.
What you been adding about me?
No, Andy, haven't handed in anything about you yet. I'm trying to line up a couple though, for hopefully the future. It's about time you got represented in the sound clips, Andy. You've been underrepresented in my view.
Yes, I know, and I want that copyrighted as well. I want it so it's that Erasmus coiner of this bitch.
Socked out, fucked out, looking for a hangdown.
Oh yeah, baby. I'm tired.
It's coming next week. Coming right now. Adam Smido Smith. Paul Massingham has thrown in a question for you, Smido. He said, I don't know what your thoughts were on Smith versus Ryder. I, for one, thought it would be a lot more competitive than people thought. I expected Smith to win late on stoppage or points, but I'm disgusted with the judging. 117-111 is a fucking joke, says Paul. I had Ryder winning by 1, maybe even 2 rounds. I wouldn't be calling it shambles if there were only a few rounds in it. Makes me think if Smith is that good, and other people saying he caught Groves at the right time, he needs to move up a weight possibly as well. Paul Massingham isn't happy, Smido, by what he saw.
Well, that's more than fair enough. There's a lot of people that weren't happy with what they saw. I mean, firstly, regarding the scorecards, I don't score fights. I gave up long ago. I found it was taken away from my enjoyment of watching fights. And to be fair, when I did try and score them, I was worse than Adelaide Bird, to be honest. So I did tweet beforehand, though, before the scorecards came out, that either way, I don't think it could be classed as a robbery. Any result, win, draw, win the other way, I don't think it could have been called a robbery, and I think that's what you've alluded to slightly as well, Steve. So I had no problem with the Beer result. When we look back in, 5 or 10 years, it's going to be unanimous decision, Callum Smith. That'll be in the history books. What we do obviously have a problem, a pretty big problem, is the 117 score, which equates to 9 rounds to 3. I think that's insulting to John Ryder, to be honest, who was superb, done a hell of a lot better than what many expected. The clear, and I know it's an obvious thing to say, but we all knew there was a height difference. Callum Smith's going to be one of the biggest super middleweights probably ever. But when they got in the ring last night, it was even more obvious. It was humongous. Like, we're talking probably, maybe even two. It looked like there was 2 weight divisions out, not just one. But despite those clear and obvious height and reach disadvantages, I think Ryder had a game plan, stuck to it brilliantly, and forced his fight upon Smith for large parts of the fight. I really did, and he kept it going. I mean, I thought around the 6th or 7th, I thought Smith was starting to come on a bit stronger as the gap between the two increased, as the range increased. I thought Smith was coming on and starting to stamp his authority, but then Ryder came flying back. I think round 7 was a really big one for Ryder. Correct me if I'm wrong. I thought Smith was uncomfortable for large parts of the fight. I know it sounds a little bit daft, but it must be quite difficult. The size advantage for Smith might well have been a disadvantage last night, because it was clearly quite difficult for him to land shots and to win rounds against the much smaller guy. Not making any excuses, like I thought Andy Lee called it pretty well when he said Smith started to box to Ryder's height a bit more. I think Andy Lee said something along the lines of he was bending his knees, legs. So yeah, we started to box to Ryder's height a little bit more, and I think that's where he got a little bit more success. But really, there wasn't many rounds where there was a clear winner of any individual round. So as such, of course, we were going to get we should have got close scorecards, and it turns out that the scorecards weren't as close as they should have been, undoubtedly. But Smith's just very basic, isn't he? Really, I mean, it was the same old story: right hand down the middle and left hook to the body. I mean, we've seen this I know it's almost a cliche nowadays, but we've seen this so many times with Joe Gallagher fighters. And really, he didn't really, like I say, he didn't really dominate any individual round. And I would say that Smith was more hurt in any individual exchange than Ryder was. Towards the end, I thought in the 11th, Ryder did absolutely superb to come back into that round. Was rocking Smith's head all over the place. He looked knackered, uncomfortable. Ryder looked like he could have gone on to stop him there if there was another 30 seconds in the round. I thought the last round was probably the best. They both obviously went for it, because I think they both obviously thought they had to. And then it just all hell broke loose on Twitter when that 117 scorecard came out. Who actually was which judge gave that scorecard? Was it the English fella?
Who the fuck do you think?
Terence O'Connor Senior.
The guy, Fat Terry, the guy who's not even suitable to be a referee nowadays is now deemed competent to be a full-time judge.
Yeah, that's not good. But I'll just finish up on Smith. It's he's managed to get to the Ring Magazine belt really without not beating very much. I mean, he was in the WBC mandatory slot for probably years before actually going and taking that belt. But he's actually got the diamond version of that. I can't really keep up. He's beaten George Groves, who was clearly, before, during, and after the fight was his body was in pieces. And before that, we've got wins over that Holtzgen that he'd struggled against. We said all this last week. We're not being clever after the event. Skoglund he struggled against at times. I think Steve, you even mentioned Luke Blackledge last week that took him 10 rounds. He ain't all that much cop. And then Hassan Mundam. I mean, he's been going. Like I say, every time he's like Jack in the Box, isn't he? That was mentioned last week. So we're not being clever after the event here. But he's sat around fighting these Euro level kind of geezers, and not really stepped up. I mean, you could. There's an argument to be made that Callum Smith really is only the champion, so-called champion or Ring magazine holder because Grove's body was in bits, and he's managed to somehow cheat's probably a strong word for it, but has manipulated his size to miraculously, and it is a miracle, make 12 stone. He's not what is his best win really? But yeah, like I say, that was my take on it. I know others are a lot more stronger of opinions on the scorecards than me.
Yeah, strong opinions. Call for Ozzy. The lads are shouting out for Ozzy to drop a few bombs. Swaggy Taggy threw this in for you, Ozzy. He said, I won't be able to join tomorrow's chat room, but I just wanted to share with you, Oz. I expect will be unanimous discussed at the scores in Liverpool tonight. Hopefully we can get a rematch, or at the very least people will finally take note of John Ryder and he can get some good support behind him. If you get the chance to ask, I'd like to know if the guys think a greater level of transparency as to the judges' scoring could be enforced. Ozzy, that's Swaggy Taggy talking about judges' scoring again.
They should be made to explain it, in my opinion. I don't see how literally thousands of people had John winning this fight, yet these three judges didn't, and by a distance as well. It's like he went into the fight just basically losing already, and the only way he could get him out, basically win, was knocking him out. That is the only way. The cards are disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. John boxed the fight of his life and outclassed the apparent number one super middleweight in the world. Outclassed him, in my opinion. I had him winning 116, 112, and I thought the rounds that John won were relatively easy to score. I thought he landed at will. I've never seen Callum Smith miss so much. Just wild left hooks in. And John was gone, long gone. I thought John caused more damage with his shots constantly. The 11th, he certainly buzzed Callum Smith, without a doubt. And then you get this disgusting response after it. Nothing from Eddie Hearn, absolutely nothing. Joe Gallagher storming out of interviews because he's pissed off because people are talking about a rematch. This is the wanker that cried about Paul Smith's fight in Germany. He then demanded a rematch for Anthony Crolla against Jorge Linares after the first fight, which was not a close fight whatsoever. Yet when the shoe is on the other foot and his fighter has lost, and they fucking knew he lost as well. There's only the Smith brothers. Liam Smith put a tweet out saying, yeah, John boxed well. I'm fine if you thought he won, but tell me the 7 rounds. I replied the rounds that I thought John had won, and other people as well had scored it exactly the same, and he just replies back with laughing faces. Couldn't justify anything. He then says, how the hell did you score rounds 1 and 2 to John Ryder? Everybody scored rounds 1 and 2. Andy Lee on Sky scored it. DAZN scored it to rounds 1 and 2 to John. So it's just blatant bias, absolute bias, and it's a joke, absolute joke, because John should be sat there at home now with his daughter, little boy, wife, as a newly crowned world champion and with that Ring magazine belt, and he's had it taken away from him. Darren Barker said it right. It's on IFL now. He was calling Hearn out and said it's a joke, and John won clearly, and it's not good. The cards were a disgrace and things like that. And you've got Hearn saying in interviews, I knew Callum had won before when I got into the ring. It's bollocks. It's like they followed the script. John came in, clearly upset the apple cart, and they've just completely gone against it. And now they're just yet again banging on about getting Canelo coming over to Liverpool. Why the fuck would he come to Liverpool? Callum Smith cannot sell a ticket whatsoever. Sean Dodd and Tom
the crowd said the same story, mate. They booed the decision for Christ's sake.
Exactly,
It was dead.
yeah.
It was dead in there.
But the crowd sounded weird. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. The crowd sounded really weird to me. Did anyone think it had like a tinny sound to it, like there was nobody in? I'm not just hating.
There wasn't a fucking sound.
It was
there wasn't a sound out of him. Wasn't a sound out of him because he was getting beaten. Fucking saying nothing.
Sorry, Oz.
It's a piss take. It was an absolute joke. And I just... Honestly, I would not blame John if he walked away. Because what's the point? What is the point? Like, how are you expected to win? He's gone in the away corner, fine. Nothing against that, because in reality, he had to. He had no choice. But the fact is, he won the fight. He won the fight. And then you've got, like, the Smith brothers saying, oh, well, if the cards weren't as wide, no one would care. It's not just the cards. It's the fact is that everybody scored it to John. Literally everybody, bar people in Liverpool and a couple of others. Like, I saw Peter Fury say Callum Smith won unanimously. Did he score it 3 times or something like that to win unanimously? He's a clown as well. Huey needs...
They're on their Monaco dates now, though, aren't they? They're on their Monaco dates.
So Huey needs Eddie now, because Huey's a lot of garbage as well. It's a piss take, absolute piss take. It's just a shame that other promoters don't have options at 168. 168 is tied up with either Al Heyman or DAZN, and that's where the fights are. But you see it quite a bit recently. I mean, look at the punditry. So last night you had Tony Bellew from Liverpool, Anthony Croller, a former stablemate, and then who were they interviewing during the fight? Paul Smith. It's like, oh, how do you think your brother's doing? After seven rounds, he had it 6-1 to Callum. So did Joe Gallagher. It's bollocks. I just don't understand that whatsoever. It's just blatant bias, and Callum Smith and all that gym have come out worse from this. It's not necessarily Callum Smith's fault, because he can't dictate the cards and things like that, but it's the way they've carried themselves after the fight, and it's disgusting. John has been a model pro. I mean, he didn't have to come on this podcast. He could have said, you know what, I just want to be on my own and things like that. It's very rare you'll get someone who boxed for a world title and then 24 hours after he's on a podcast with us. And it just shows his true class. Yeah. And people could look at him and learn a hell of a lot of him, because, like I said, I put a tweet out yesterday. 2 years ago, he lost a fight at British level and was wrote off by everybody. He was discarded by Matchroom, tossed away, and he thought about walking away. He was presented an opportunity by Callum Sauerland to fight Patrick Nielsen in the away corner yet again, and he iced him completely. He was then brought in again to lose against Jamie Cox, who was signed by Matchroom. Was like the next big thing. And he was beaten by George Groves. He was brought in to lose against Jamie Cox, and what did he do? Iced him again. He was then given, obviously, he was showing that he can be a legit contender. He gets two another solid wins against Sirotkin and that Bilal Akaway, who was highly touted. I think, does he train with out the Lemieux camp or Golovkin or something like that? He was touted, as like a young prospect.
Not for much longer.
Well, exactly, yeah. And then he goes in with Callum Smith, wins the fight, and it's robbed. It's disgusting. And Andy Lee as well, I'm disappointed with him, because he has been excellent completely. And I'm sure he changed his card, because I think he had John up by 2 points going into the last or something like that. And then he had Callum Smith winning. And he apologised for the card. And I think it was Andy who said when Anthony Croller won, oh, it doesn't really matter because, or was it Macklin or something like I can't remember.
Macklin.
Yeah, was it
that
Macklin?
Was Macklin, yeah.
Macklin.
Yeah, it doesn't matter because, it's Croller's last hurrah. It fucking does matter, because at the end of the day, you've got another pro on the opposite side who is still continuing to fight. That Spaniard should have won and should have a world ranking now, rightfully or wrongfully, and John Ryder should be world champion. It's a piss take.
The other thing as well is I believe, well, John mentioned it there, but I also believe Callum Smith's been in the same boat. Both have had kids recently as well. John's had a 12-week camp. His son's 8 weeks old. He's future best mate, and he's gave up valuable time, intimate time with his son to get fucking done like that on the cards. It's just, as I say, you would not be surprised. As Ozzy mentioned, you wouldn't be surprised he says, fuck the sport. Fuck it. Why am I going to give up my best time with my kids at this point in their lives and stuff like that? Why the fuck should I just keep doing this? Leave my wife or my girlfriend to fucking deal with the kids. Take all the shit while I'm away grafting for 12 weeks to go make a fight, to win a world title fight, and then say, you know what? Sorry, Terry O'Connor seen it 171-11 to Callum Smith. You're like, what's the fucking point?
I saw something as well last night that somebody confronted Fat Terry, and Terry's response was, "I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. Callum Smith clearly won that fight." This is what you're putting up with. Fat fucking slob is just, he can't even acknowledge anything. He's a fucking arsehole. He can't referee and he can't judge. He should be struck off. You see it in football, right? Referees,
we want to be honest,
they perform badly and make bad decisions, they're demoted, they're knocked away. I hope that Charlie Sims goes and lobbies the WBA for an immediate rematch, because I tell you what, they've called rematches for less before, and this is something that Gilberto Mendoza has to look at this. People are not stupid. Thousands of people are not stupid, and everybody has not called this fight wrong whatsoever. So they've got to look at it. And do you know what? I hope they do get called. An immediate rematch does get called, and it's scuppers.
They won't.
Oh,
They won't.
no, I know. I'd love it, and it should be, because if it's the other way around, it would do. It's just, it's so frustrating. You can't. I mean, look, I've said what you can clearly tell I'm pissed off, but what can you do? You just hope John gets another opportunity, because a win last night would have set him up for life.
Let's be honest though, is he going to get another opportunity? Probably no, because look what it took him to get to this point.
Yeah.
You know, he's probably going to have to go through the ringer again just to get to this point, because I forget the title situation, Steve, at the minute at super middleweight. I mean, obviously you've got
Eddie says he's going to try and get him the vacant regular
who
belt.
gives a fuck
Yeah,
about regular vacant belt?
I know,
So
I
seriously,
know. No, I know. I hear you. But that's what he's going to do. He's not going to lobby for the rematch. Not a fucking hope.
Yeah.
Fucking Eddie though, man. Eddie's, vacant belts. Who gives a fuck about Miguel Cotto belts? Fight David Benavidez, get him Khalid Plant, Billy Joe Saunders for fuck's sake. Okay, it's apparently it's in Saunders' contract that he must fight Callum Smith at some point, for what we've been told or what we've heard, and then Callum Smith hasn't got that in his contract, so obviously he's getting the free reign, the free pickings and stuff like that. But if there's a fucking belt to be had, John should be getting fucking first dips on it, and it should be fucking Billy Joe Saunders, because 168 not to be had. He is not fucking 168, and they're going to skip that fucking fight. So you can just see it right now. Callum Plant's fighting someone soon. I forget who's at Feigen Boots. Benavidez, is he vacated? Who gives a fuck about vacant belts? Give the kid a fucking live body and let him win the fight legitimately, because these vacant belts mean absolute shit.
The only thing I can see is that if Saunders doesn't get Canelo or Callum Smith next, will he go back down to 160 and fight like a Golovkin or something like that down at 160 and chuck the 168 belt away or something like that? And then would John get an opportunity? I mean, I'm just looking at some of the rankings now. In terms of up at 168, and you've got would he try and make a vacant WBA regular title fight with Rocky Fielding and do it as a rematch?
Zach Parker would be an easy win. Easy win.
Yeah, but
he's high up.
And he's ranked 3 in the WBO. He's going to be the next mandatory, probably, for Billy Joe. Zach Parker. I mean, you've
Bremer's
got...
kicking the boot.
Who, sorry?
Bremer's still kicking the boot.
Yeah. Well, Yildirim's obviously just failed that PED test. Hassan and Dan got splattered by...
No, he's fighting for it again, is he not? Has he not got has he been given...
has he been approved? Oh, right, well, there you go. Fedor Chudinov...
Yildirim failed a test, didn't he? And he hasn't got banned. And Yildirim hasn't got banned, but Benavidez got banned by the WBC, and he only used cocaine out of camp.
Yeah, but I just pulled up there. It's 25th of January, Benavidez Yildirim is that a rematch? No,
that's the mandatory, actually.
No. Mandatory, sorry.
Mandatory, yeah.
Aye, so it's late January that fight's happening, sorry.
Yeah. But I mean, look, there's opportunities there and things like that. Even if what about the winner of Danny Jacobs, Julio Cesar Chavez?
If that happens.
Yeah, if that happens, what about that? What about something like that? Because he certainly deserves an opportunity. I mean, look, for me, he should be granted an immediate rematch, without a doubt. Doesn't matter if it's a mandatory whatsoever.
He travel for both opponents, so what's the thing, though, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Look. I don't think he's been essentially in the away corner all of his life. I don't think he'd mind doing that. And look, money, cash pays the bills, doesn't it? And like I said, a win last night would have set him up for life. because whether it had been a big money rematch or would he have got the Canelo fight, which would have been a huge cash as well. I mean, Canelo's trainer said it all last night. He thought Ryder won the fight. Other high-profile boxing fighters, managers, Lou DiBella had it to John Ryder. These people are not stupid. So for the wankers that say, oh, well, you know, like these pros that, well, if you've never boxed, you can't have an opinion. Well, look at your fellow pros, because they all disagree with you as well.
I wonder if Callum Smith should sack off Joe Gallagher, maybe get a new trainer.
He certainly sacked him off as manager anyway, put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I thought he was... Yeah, looked pretty basic at times, to be honest. Struggled with John. I thought John was excellent, absolutely excellent. Like I said, nigh on punch perfect. They bang on about, you know, like the power of Smith, and John didn't look buzzed at all. But we said last week, didn't we, that all the talk pre-fight was about the fights in the future, and it was like it was just it was a foregone for them that they were going to win the fight. They clearly didn't, but the cards say otherwise, and now it's like, you know, right, regardless of whether it was controversial or not, we don't care. Nobody, basically, we know a rematch isn't going to be granted. And then you get wankers like Tony Bellew going, Canelo doesn't want anything of Callum Smith over at Anfield. What is he sniffing? Like, what is going through his mind to say that? It's absurd, absolutely absurd. It was just blatant bias, wasn't it? Like I said, you had...
That's going to be amphetamines or something like that, eh?
Oh, no. And to be fair, what's it called? Yeah, I'm just picking it up on the chat now, and then I'll have said my piece. But I give him a hell of a lot of stick. But fair play to Dave Allen, because he called it out. And he slated the cards and the promotional outfit and things like that, and said it's a joke. So, like I said, I rightfully give Allen a load of stick, but at the same time, I'll happily give him credit, because last night he was spot on in what he said, and he was another one who said that John should be world champion.
Right, Rapping Rob Kelly's on the call. Delighted to have you on, Rob. We'll be going to Wilder Ortiz shortly. Before we do so, Ryder against Smith. Bit of a loaded question here, because I know that you're friends with Andy Lee. I just say what I think. I wasn't really that bothered with Andy Lee's commentary. A lot of people seem to be a bit annoyed about it. Now, his scorecard was pretty wayward. I would agree with that. It seemed to be all over the place, but I don't think Andy's necessarily needs to be a company man. He doesn't need to be a shill. So I just think that he's probably just saying it as he is. Am I being naive here?
Well, I don't know. I love Andy, but Andy's got fighters now too. He's managing and training fighters now. So, and he's there on that platform. Look, I love Andy Lee. I'm not going to be. I always say on this pod, there's no bias, right? So I'm just going to call it like it is. I was very disappointed in Andy last night. Not in the way that he was calling the fight, but he called it from one fighter's perspective for the majority of the fight. The entire part of his commentary was focused on what Callum Smith needs to do while John is winning the fight. So that's kind of taken away from Ryder's performance a little bit, because he's all about, like, you know, Callum needs to keep distance, Callum needs to tie up here, Callum needs to do this. It's like, you don't get that in a football match where you know, even if it's Gary Neville and Jamie Carragher, like, and it's their two teams, they have to call it like what's happening on the pitch. So I thought the commentary for a large part last night were ignoring a lot of the good work that Ryder was doing, and that surprised me. And Andy had it 4 rounds apiece on his card after 8 rounds, and then scored two rounds in favour of Smith. So I didn't see that either in those last 4 rounds. I thought Ryder was way more dominant. Like, I have Ryder winning the fight, no bias here because he's related to me or whatever. I've never met him. I've only ever spoken to him on here, so I don't. And on Twitter, I don't know the guy. I never hung out with him or anything. So I've no kind of, you know, we wanted him to win, but if he lost the fight, I would come on here and say I thought he lost the fight. Callum Smith, if he's the number one 168 pounder, the division must be devoid of good 168 pounders at the moment, because he didn't know what to do with John Ryder last night. A fella 5'9" was stronger than him, was beating him, was just. I thought John could have done better on the jab last night, the southpaw jab. Maybe he was a little bit wary of being countered or whatever. But Bellew, Anthony, leave me out of the fucking public eye. Bellew, that couldn't get enough words in last night. Couldn't get enough words in. He's everywhere. He was on Boxing Social, IFL. He was on Sky. He's talking. Do you know what he said on one of the Boxer Social? I don't care. Clean punches is what wins rounds. Clean punches, clean hard punches.
Crying like a little bitch.
I saw him with John Ryder, and I thought, if you get one or more of those kids, you're out. What fucking fight was he looking at? I didn't see Ryder hurt once in the fucking fight. Not once in the... What was he hurt? The only fighter that was hurt was Smith in the 11th round, and he was nearly gone. What are they fucking talking about? The cheek of him, and like Ozzy said, everybody on the fucking panel is like a big party for Callum Smith, Crawler, and Gallagher, right? I don't agree with the fucking dog thing and all that. Like, and his kids getting stick at school, and that's probably why the comments are off the video. And he did take very personal offence to that today on Twitter. So, do you know what? I wouldn't like that if that was my little one. I'm not going to fucking go down that road with him. But what I will go down is, you little shit, you got a fucking you got a rematch for Crawler against Linares when he didn't fucking deserve it. He clearly lost the fight. Nobody watching that fight thought that he won that fight. Not a single boxing fan that saw that fight scored that fight for Crawler. Yeah, what do you do? Start crying? Oh, he's shoe shining him. Shoe shining him by ringing off combinations off his fucking head for the last 3 rounds, and he still got the rematch. So you should shut up and don't be fucking dismissing young journalists when they're asking you a genuine question in a close fight with a controversial decision against one of your fighters. You can't say, you fucking winding me up. You winding me up about a rematch. Shut up, you fucking snide, you. Your fighter lost. Everybody knows it. So I'm not going to... It's not matchroom bias. It's just boxing bias at this stage. It's fucking shite. The best sport in the world, and every week we come on here, we're either talking about drug cheats or wrong scorecards. And that's been the theme of the year. It started off with Wilder Fury at the end of last year, and it hasn't fucking stopped ever since. All the big fights for the last fucking 36 months, all the big fights have had scorecards like that. 117, 111. He should never be allowed judge again after that. That's up there with Adelaide Bird. 117, 111. 9 rounds to 3 to Callum Smith.
Be safe.
Rob's on fire tonight out in the field. Don't fall into the reservoir, Rob.
I'm in the streets tonight, baby. I'm like O'Hara Davis. I've got one foot in the street, one foot in the streets. What a fucking shithead. What a fucking asshole. Who'd say that of 1 foot? Let me tell you something. Anyone with 1 foot in the streets is not going to say it on a fucking IFL video anyway. I'll tell you that much. Dipshit.
Rob, we need you to rap John Ryder to the ring in his next fight with the Knight Rider theme in the background.
I'm up for it, Jenny. I'm only doing it if all users are coming to the ring with me because I might have too many enemies in these boxing circles.
Right, Rob, I want to bring you in on Wilder now. I've got a question from Simon Alavey. He says, Rob, can anyone avoid Deontay Wilder's power for 36 minutes? I personally can't see anyone beating him, and as much as I respect Fury for getting up, I think that was just as freaky as the power the bronze bomber weighing 215 pounds with small legs possesses. What do you think about that?
He's got bent legs, hasn't he? He's got bent legs, Deontay Wilder.
Yeah, bent legs. Yeah.
He'll make you fall on your own leg if he hits you.
Be safe.
Look, the thing about I said it last week, I would have been surprised if Ortiz won. And he won every second of the fight up until he got stopped. It's remarkable. He's got freakish power, Deontay Wilder. He did nothing right all night. The only good thing he did was in that last second where he straightened up the shot and he used the little left hand as a blinder. But other than that, he was telegraphing that all night, and Wilder and Ortiz was able to use his head movement to avoid getting caught. He was catching Wilder at will. Wilder showed a good chin last night. I think Ortiz is well past it, by the way. Well past it. He's fucking ancient. Like, the one thing you can't do in boxing is turn back the hands of time. I think we saw glimmers of how good he could have been earlier on in his career if he wasn't doping or if he'd have turned over earlier. But Wilder just needs to land. That seems to be it. He just needs to land. He doesn't need to do anything. He could lose every second of every round and still catch you. When he catches you, you're gone. Now, that's what's making the rematch really, really interesting. I think every time one of these guys fights, you're kind of analysing it to see who's on top. And Wilder's kind of come out top of the pile at the end of certainly heading towards this Ruiz Joshua rematch, because he's had the highlight knockout reel against Dominic Breazeale, gone out and flattened him. He's lost every second of the fight against Ortiz, turned it around and stopped him again with that just clinical right hand, just an absolute poleaxer. No matter who he hits, they're going. So it's making it interesting. There's a couple of things to factor in. We'll talk about it as it gets closer, I'm sure, but there's the cut with Fury. There's the book with Fury. The Christmas single with Robbie Williams with Fury. Like, how tuned in is he? If they're fighting in February and he's going on a press run in December, he's living it out in Vegas. He looked a bit sluggish in his last fight, and I think there's a possibility that he stayed hid from the first Wilder fight. and that he's got one foot out of the sport. And I think there's also the possibility that he's lost too much weight and that his legs are done a Roy Jones on him a little bit, and he knows that. So I'm not sure how long we're going to see Fury around, even if he beats Wilder, but it's making it really, really interesting. But to agree with the listener, he's right. All Wilder needs to do is touch you. He's unorthodox. He's shit, really. His feet are not good. He can't set anything up. But if he touches you with that Thor's hammer of a right hand, you're going to go. It's remarkable, really.
Seriously, man, he could be probably the most single one-hitter probably since Liston or Ingemar Johansson. Think about it. That's how far back we're going, by the way. I've been thinking about it.
For heavyweight,
pound for pound, Julius Jackson level, yeah.
No, but I'm thinking about
Julius Jackson was the closest comparison I could think of a guy that would just touch you and you.
I'm thinking heavyweight.
Heavyweights, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Tyson,
left hook, Tyson, but Ingemar Johansson and Sonny Liston could just Shavers could just ice you, put you on the gurney, fit twitching like you did against Patterson and stuff like that. I mean, cold. And that's what happened to Ortiz last night. He was doing cold, man. I mean, I've seen it. The expression on his face never changed. For the right hand landing to him trying to get up, his face never fucking changed.
People were saying on Twitter that the sweat drying off his head was like a soul leaving his body.
If he took 15 years off Ortiz, he would be right up there with the big boys.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, go on, Rob. Sorry, I was asking you a question at the same time. I said at the beginning of the pod that if he took 15 years off Ortiz, he's very skillful and the brain knows what it's doing, but it's the body that's letting him down. Can you hear me, Rob?
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now or no?
Yep, go ahead. What were you saying?
Sorry, I was saying, I think, I'd agree with you. Like Ortiz was manoeuvring Wilder around the ring last night. He was using his head movement, he was using his jab, and he was catching Wilder at will, really. Like, he was doing what he wanted with him, and he's definitely fucking over the hill. He's officially 40, is he? So that means he's 80. So he's doing well for an 80-year-old man, sexually as well.
I've never met a fucking Sri Lankan that can fight, mate.
Smido, did you see anything of the undercard? Tennyson Evans was a good scrap, man. Both of them were taking far too many punches. I worry about Tennyson as much as Evans. He just takes one. It takes four to land two. Craig Glover getting knocked out. Anthony Fowler, fantastic win, going to world level. Tom Farrell, disappointing ending. Anything, Smido?
Anthony Fowler's shit, innit? He's got the Chris Eubank-itis. Like, he thinks he's a lot better than he is. He thinks he can hit a lot harder than he does. I mean, that other fella was a bit awkward. I was kind of switching off after a bit, but yeah, Fowler, he'll get beat again sooner rather than later. And they keep talking. I know I said this a few weeks ago. They keep talking about this. Fitzgerald rematch. Fitzgerald. Is no one asking Scott Fitzgerald who he wants to fight next? Because we're talking Cheeseman rematches. We're talking Fowler rematches. But what does Scott Fitzgerald want to do? No one's asking. He's just a pawn in this game. I don't like the way that's being handled. They've put him in and expected him to lose twice, and he's won both times. And now they're talking about a bloody stadium fight. I saw that Callum Smith. I thought he was all right. That Glover got cut, I think. Decent scrap. That I think that Callum Smith was in a close-ish loss to, was it Riakpor last year? Have I got that right or wrong? So it was coming in off a recent loss. But yeah, I think he might be decent at a British level around cruiserweight. Trained by Shane McGuigan, and managed by Barry. So there'll be a court case coming soon on that. I know Ozzy mentioned touched upon the Sky setup earlier. I mean, fucking hell, that was a joke, man. We've got Tony Bellew, fellow Scouser, and Anthony Crawler, long-term stablemate of Callum Smith, making up 66% of the Sky analyst panel last night. I mean, that is a joke. I mean, and Bellew, just when we thought that this man, who has an award named after him in the Bellew of the Week, just when we thought he couldn't out-Bellew himself, he has. He's had an absolute shocker last night. I mean, that calling for, I'll put my house on it that Canelo won't come over here. No, Tony. Of course he won't come over here. That's because you're talking about the biggest star in world boxing who fights when he wants, where he wants, against who he wants, and at what weight he wants. As if Canelo yesterday is sat there in California or Las Vegas, wherever he is, California at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, watching boxing from the fucking Wild West in England. Fucking no chance. And then Joe Gallagher's claiming that Eddie said that he's had a text off Canelo. Fuck off, man. Canelo he's not interested. He would no way. He still won't have. He probably won't even know the result yet. Never mind, watched it live. What a fucking load of shit that is. Absolute load of shit. But there was a time, and I said this last night. There was a time when Tony Bellew went on a Tim Pot podcast and did an interview, and then for a time after that, some of the hardcores were like, "Oh yeah, he's a nice guy, really." No, fuck that. I've said all along, he's an absolute bellend, proper bellend, absolute idiot, always has been. And Joe Gallagher, while I'm at it, he
Operation U
become popular, or they're given to hate on Joe Gallagher, or the hardcores hating on Joe Gallagher, Tesco Joe. Rob alluded politely so to other more unsavoury sayings that I won't touch on, but I've tried to give Joe Gallagher a bit of a chance as it goes, but as of last night, he can fuck off as well. I mean, where do you even start with it? I mean, he's having a go at that young journalist saying he's sick of this fucking question when asked about a rematch. Same man who helped get a pointless rematch for Paul Smith against Abraham. Same man who helped get Anthony Crolla a pointless rematch versus Linares. Had plenty to say about the Frampton and Quigg scorecards a few years ago, and then said absolutely nothing when Crolla got a gift robbery only a few weeks ago. I mean...
Sorry, Smitho, just to jump in and help you out there, right? When you're talking about Bellew and Gallagher, Gallagher at least had the self-awareness to say on that interview. He said, it's like when Floyd Mayweather has a... Hold on, I'm not going to say that because I'm going to get slated. Didn't stop Anthony, though. Didn't stop Anthony. It's like when Marcos Maidana fought Floyd Mayweather. You give him more rounds because he's done better than you expected, but he still clearly lost the fight, and it's as simple as that. Fucking hell, what a fucking comparison. Marcos Maidana and Floyd. Prick.
But he said I won't say that, and then continued and went on to say that. But before I just leave my little rant here, Steve, I've got the ringside team for Sky for when Canelo comes over to Anfield. It's going to be Paul Smith, Stephen Smith, Liam Smith, Bellew, Crolla, Price, Fowler, and Joe Selkirk.
What about Jimmy Corkin and Jackie
Dad, please.
Sinbad. Nick from the pizza place.
And also...
Let's do it right now, you fucking rats.
That little video clip that Darren Barker didn't like, and they got a few seconds from Eddie Earn at the end of it. That is a man right there that scores fights, or decides what score he's giving to a fight after the bell. Because if you watch that, I've watched it a couple of times. If you watch that again, unless it's been taken down already, he wants to say that he had Ryder just nicking it. He wants to say that, but didn't bring himself to say it. He decides the winner of a fight, he decides the score of a fight after it's finished.
What about Bean, Smitho? Any bean bag, runner bean, could have been, should have been last night? Any bean updates?
Well, not necessarily from Liverpool, but I know I went on last week. This £25 thing, I didn't really say too much about it, but then the other day when he's got that interview from Vegas and he's trying to justify putting the price up to 25 quid because we was treated to two YouTubers for a tenner a couple of weeks ago. Fuck off. That fucking pissed me off. That. So I've tried not to rant so much recently, particularly on things that don't affect me, right? And this £25 don't actually affect me next weekend because I'm out watching it anyway, but. So I didn't really commentate on the YouTube fight because I was never going to buy it anyway or never going to watch it. So I didn't really moan about it, and I won't be buying this pay-per-view. But I mean, I've said on this podcast many times, in the boxing in the UK, whether we agree with it or not, is split to Anthony Joshua number one, and everyone and everything else is number two. That is just the world we live in. So we've had a 25% price increase from June, where he's got beat. And now till December, so it's gone up 25%. And you could argue that Joshua is single-handedly responsible for the 46% increase from $16.95, which it was, kind of the Bellew Cleverly time before Joshua came in,
That was a brilliant pay-per-view card that Bellew cleverly took. So 46% up from $16.95 to $24.95. You know, you could say that's down to the AJ phenomenon. And then we've got fucking Bean using the YouTube to force to justify this price increase to an elite event. The biggest thing I can't have is Eddie saying he said yesterday, this is the biggest fight of the year, decade, and century. Now, come on, this is a fella who's come in at 5 weeks, 5 weeks' notice. People, including me, 6 months ago, just thought it was a no-opener. I didn't even bother getting up and watching it. Now he's saying it's the biggest fight of the century. I mean, as Frank would say, do me a fucking favour there. And also Bean last week.
But Smido, on an Eddie front, sorry, Smido, I'll give Porky Russ his credit. I mean, you're probably in the same camp as me here. Eddie saying that they raised the prices without him knowing about it. I mean, come on. Eddie brilliant. Wasn't told that they were going to raise it to £25.
Do you know what?
What the fuck?
He was like fucking Shaggy this week. 25 pay-per-view. It wasn't me. Dodgy couple dodgy scorecards. It wasn't me. Nothing's his fault. Like, is it? When it goes wrong, it's never his fucking fault.
You're a fucking
wasn't me. I didn't know anything about it. £25. What? What? News to me.
You know what, though?
What a fucking dickhead.
I thought this nearly 2 weeks ago. Hearn was going to say it was Sky's decision to go $24.95, which he did. Like he said, it was DiBella's fighter. Like he said, it was White's people dealing with the test. Like he says, he doesn't work for the Saudi passport office when folks aren't getting their visa with a ticket like they were promised. He's gone above and beyond anything that we've had of him before. You know, it's difficult to put in words how much of a fucking snake he is. Like, it's gone way, way beyond that. Final point, we had Bean last week saying, over here on Fox this weekend it's $75 for Ortiz. That's 3 times as much as what we're charging for Joshua and Ruiz. Well, there's 2 points there. Firstly, they've got no monthly subscription over in America, as far as I'm aware. I pay in the region of £50 a month for my Sky package. You know, I've got to pay an extra 50% just for 4 hours of programming, but yet I get the other 29 and a half days for £50. I mean, that's a joke in itself. But then also next week they'll be saying, oh well, with DAZN for $10 this month, you've had Kovalev and Canelo, and you've had the YouTubers, then you've had Joshua and Ruiz. You know, which way do you want it? Do you want it $10 a month, best thing since sliced bread, or do you want it? Oh well, the Yanks pay £75 an event. It's just it's got way out of control now. I'm pissed off.
Good points. Yeah, good points.
Go on, Ozzy, anything you want to add quickly, or should we move on to the Jack Catterall?
Fuck boxing.
Yeah,
I support that.
On the card was okay. The best fight wasn't on Sky, it was on Facebook, and that was Tennyson, Evans, and Hearn basically said it sold 50 tickets between them, so that's why it wasn't on there, regardless of how competitive it was. Callum Smith absolutely battered Glover. Agree with Andy
boy.
On that point. Thought it could have been stopped a bit earlier. Fowler Scarf was pretty bland, to be honest. Felt for Tom Farrell. Was warming into the fight. I had it even after 4, and then it was waved off due to a horrible cut on his forehead. It's something that needs to be looked at, that in my opinion. That when it's like a headbutt, they shouldn't have to wait. What I couldn't get my head around is that the doctors looked at the cut midway through the round when it happened and said it was okay, and then at the end of the round, after Tom said basically I'm struggling because it's pissing blood in both my eyes, they decided to call it off. It was no different, but that dictated a result then. But for me, in terms of things, I think it should be dubbed a no contest, because like I said, it's such a gruesome injury, and it was an accidental headbutt. Stephen Smith came back, don't care about him, don't know why he's still fighting, and a couple of other youngsters as well. But no, just a quick one on Gallagher, by the way. He was crying after it as well, saying that the press conference was like a morgue, because people weren't up in arms and celebrating that Callum Smith had defended his titles in Liverpool and was the first UK fighter to defend the ring belt in 10 years. is he just deluded or just like no self-awareness or something like that? And then, like you all said, had a do at that young, I think it's Oscar Bevis or something like that, from IFL, and basically threatened to walk out on an interview because he dared to ask him a question that a lot of other people asked him as well. The guy's a prick. No wonder he gets abused all the time, because he comes across like that. You'd have more respect for people like this. He said, yeah, it was close. We were fortunate, but we're looking to move on. But they don't see it that way.
Fight from the weekend I completely forgot about. Andrew Cancio lost his title to Rene Alvarado, cut left eye, etc, etc. I'll watch it during the week if there's a copy floating about. Kanzu got a win over Manny Robles III as well, so I'm assuming Manny Robles Senior will be off over with Ruiz to Saudi as well now that his fella's lost. Kanzu, he's marching on, his Kanzu. Catchall, got a win over Timo Schwarzkopf on YouTube, didn't watch that. Right, tell us about the golden contract then, Andy. Did you manage to see anything of it? Taro McKenna, Box Mikisaki, Mohamed Mimoun. Hey, tell you what, there's a couple of good scraps on here, Mohamed Mimoun against Darren Surtees was a good fight. Logan Yoon, Chukwu thinks he's going to go places, maybe into the scrap heap. I thought he was a worthy loser to O'Hara Davis. If he hadn't got a decent chin on him, Yoon, he would have got knocked out a couple of rounds earlier. I'm going for O'Hara to win the whole tournament personally. Anybody want to jump in on this?
Mimoun.
You can when you go, you bypass me with that shit. I ain't watching that. Fucking the Black Quitter. Come on, think about it.
No, it was alright, man. It was alright.
It was good. I agree. There were some good fights on it. Afori Gethin was good. Jeff Afori came in at 1 day's notice and went through. I thought he beat Gethin quite handedly, to be honest, by 3 points, 4 points, something like that. Mimoun Surtees was good. Bear in mind, Darren Surtees hasn't competed above area level, and then he's gone in with essentially somebody who's fringe world level and dropped him. I think it was in round 3 or something like that, and it was a good shot as well. But Mimoun's class basically showed, and he beat up Surtees in the end. But he'll certainly come against
his ability to pick the punches. I felt it was.
Yeah, definitely. And they were proper shots, weren't they, Steve? Because I don't think Mimoun is a massive puncher, but like you said, he took his time, wasn't worried, about being dropped. Because I thought Surtees, I think he won the first 3. Yeah, well, he did. He won the first 3 rounds. But yeah, what's it called? Mimoun he upped the levels, I think, and it was a kick up the arse that he probably needed, and well and truly outclassed Darren Surtees. McKenna was far too good for that Mikey. Is it Saki or something like that? And O'Hara Davis battered that Logan Yoon as well. Just as you say, Steve, if it wasn't for his chin, it would have been lights out a long time ago. I see Mimoun winning this outright. I can't go against somebody who's more than competed at European level and has fallen short of fringe world level, when O'Hara Davis is he is what he is. I don't think he's technically great either. Not a massive. I don't particularly rate Tyrone McKenna, to be honest. I think he could get stopped if he boxed Mimoun as well. How does it work now, the semi-finals? Do they pick again, or were they just part of a draw and it's going to be, like Mimoun against, say, Afori and McKenna against Davis? How do the semi-finals work? Does anybody know?
You know what? I have no idea. I was going to ask you the same thing.
Yeah, I'm not too sure. I mean, the fight I think everybody wants to see is McKenna-Davis. They've had a lot of stick, like out of the ring and things like that, and have come to blows in car parks and things like that at shows. So, if the only fixing I want to see is that it's McKenna against Davis, that's the only bit of match fixing that I want to see, and then it'll obviously be Mimoun against Afori. But fair play to that Afori as well. He boxed the week before, and it would have been easy, like for him to, just naturally chill after a fight, eat some nice food, beers, etc. But he got the opportunity, and fair play. He's in the semi-finals, and I think it's quite good money apparently for in these sort of tournaments as well. So good on him.
Yeah, the money's good. I think O'Hara is my favourite. He's very awkward to box against. He has those long arms, and the way he pushes himself to the side, he's always side on, so he's hard to catch clean. Now, at times, because he's side on to the left, it means he has to really come across to throw that looping overhand right. And someone decent, like Josh Taylor did, will be able to time him, I think, and turn him. At times, he ended up with his back to Yoon because of that. It was Yoon's chin that kept him in it. Wasn't that impressed with him. I think he had the fundamentals pretty well down, but he wasn't, it was he hadn't got any punch power to keep Davis off him, and he wasn't able to get past Davis's left hooks and right hands. So Mimoun, Davis, probably the two front runners for me. McKenna as well. He's definitely the one on the outside. Rapping Rob Kelly, big news for you next weekend over in the Uhuru Stadium. One-time Joaquinho returns against Arnel Tinampe.
Who next? Yeah, well, that's going to be
well, you know what, Rob? He's been busy. He's been busy. He won the vacant UBO international title in 2018, so that should be on the line, hopefully.
The UBO. Unidentified boxing organisation. Holy shit.
You're going to find him in Roswell somewhere.
Storming the gates. Who next?
Has Prince Patel boxed for a UBO belt before, do we know?
I believe so.
If not, him and Dr. Hitman, that's another title that they can go after and go and conquer the strong UBO rankings in their respective weight divisions. So yeah, let me see. I'm just on his record now. So he's boxed for the African Boxing Union bantamweight title, the WBF, the vacant Tanzania Pugilistic Syndicate of Bantam title. He's not, Steve. Oh, he has. He's won. Ooh. He has won the vacant. He won the vacant UBO Intercontinental Bantam title against Zolt Sarkozy. So Prince Patel is well aware of these fancy belts. So Hassan Maquinho is clearly in the same camp as him.
Absolutely. Maybe one day we'll have our thief, Prince Patel and Hassan all on the same card. We can dream about that. Next Friday evening, this is a Jason Chukwu card, if you've ever heard one. Mickey Elliott is putting on Philip Bowes against Akeem Ennis Brown. This is actually a really good fight. Commonwealth title on the vacant British super lightweight title on the line. Unbeaten Ennis Brown against 20-3, improving Philip Bowes. So good luck to both of those guys. Tommy Frank on Free Sports next Friday night as well, going in against someone 15-11-4. I think I'll give that a swerve, to be honest with you. Anthony Mundine's returning against John Wayne Parr. Why? Who knows? Let's swerve that also. Andy, you're going to hate me for this. It's all about Monaco, baby. Joe Cordina, Zhilai Zhang, Huey Fury. Oh my God. What was it Lady Alcoholic Froch said the other week? Would you rather lick Huey Fury up the back or watch this Monaco card? Can you imagine if you did that? Would it be like, those people who go to the Amazon rainforest and lick frogs, and would it have like a psychedelic effect on you, Andy? And you could watch the card.
The Ayakusa Fury.
Cambo. Ayahuasca.
I would rather lick his back with his spots bleeding than watch this card. As I say to my wife, that Bracco's fighting the card next week, so she gets a chance to see the Norwegian great fight on British television. That heavyweight, that Chinese fucking trash bag that they're bringing in here. Who's he fighting?
Kuzmin.
Andriy Rudenko. I think he fought. Oh right, it says Andriy Rudenko here.
No, he's fought through. It was that Zhilai Zhang against Sergei Kuzmin, but that's it is. It's
right, Rob.
Rudenko, yeah. Lucas Brown beat him, and Huey Fury's beat this guy as well.
You reckon if Andy licked Huey Fury's back, he'd start talking like Joe Rogan? He'd be all into the DMT. Deontay Wilder's got scary power, dude.
Yeah, fuck yeah, man. Fuck yeah, dude. Yeah.
You know what I like about Rogan? One of the only things I like about him, when he's talking about fighters, he'll start doing sound effects. He's like, yeah, that guy's a monster. Like, he'll hit you with a whap, whap, whap.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. I suppose the main event, Best Putin Butav, would be a probably the kind of main card. I mean, I suppose if you look at their records, like they're kind of main kind of classes prospects, even though they're kind of kicking around about title level. I guess, what is it? I know a regular WBA pish that they're fucking putting on here. Is it maybe a vacant belt? I don't know, but Puffy Brackus, I think she'll probably win wide.
Jordan Gill. Do you remember that on Sky earlier this year?
Try to think. Was that on the?
Hit him to the body.
Was that one of the next gen cards?
Yes. Yeah. He battered Jordan. Yeah.
So I just pulled up his record. I see he's got an L to Devin Haney as well on points. So Mario Barrios as well on points. So that to me tells me he's durable. So I'm going to say. I'm going to go Cardino on points with this one. Just based off Haley and the other guy going on points, stuff like that, mate. But you know, that trash bag, as I say, Zeng, whoever the fuck he's fighting by, whatever the thinking is to put this guy in the card for whatever reason, whether it's for Hughie Fury, Joshua, Dillian White, Joe Parker, that guy is fucking trash, and that's all I'm going to say. Undefeated. Don't care. He is. I remember seeing one of his fights and stuff, but he is. And that other one, that Japanese one, is it Fujimoto, whatever his fucking name is, or fucking Quasimodo, whatever his fucking name is. He is fucking trash and all. He's trash. So that's all I'm going to say on that card, man. Fuck that pish.
Fuck me. Garbage, isn't it?
Go on, Ozzy.
No, I have nothing else to say on it. I don't understand why they go to these Monaco cards. It must be like some money-making or something like that. Yeah, something like that. I mean, that the woman Brackhouse is in with got battered off Katie Taylor. Hughie Fury, Pavel So, yeah. Really makes you want to get the passport out, doesn't it?
It fucks me off, right? He signs Brackhouse, right? The first female undisputed champion of all time, and she's still fighting trash like that. You know, this is what I'm saying. Again, lack of depth in women's boxing. It says she's a fucking superstar in Norway. She's countless times sports person of the year in Norway for fucking like 5 years hard running, and she still can't get a breakout fight. She was the one who got passed over by Ring Magazine for Ronda Rousey to become front cover. Think about it. So, to me, it doesn't matter what she does. She's never going to get her due. Never.
Yeah, I have no interest in it next week. I mean, Cordine has just been dumped on there because I don't think they know what to do with him. He's dropping down in weight. Obviously doesn't sell any tickets or something like that. And yeah, he's just having a jolly in Monaco. It's just uneventful, isn't it? I don't think anyone really... You're not going to stay in and watch it, are you? And I'm not even going to record it.
No, I'll be more interested in the Russian card. Ruslan Feifa against Yuri Kashinsky, and the undefeated Kashinsky has a chance to win the Eurasian Boxing Parliament Cruiserweight title, one of our more famous titles.
Well, mate, that as well, but I also flagged you up earlier on as well for a EBU external heavyweight title. I trust you've seen that one, mate.
I certainly did.
It was sensational. That's all I can say.
Adam Smith's left. He's gone.
The Turks have taken over, baby.
Smido's gone, Andy. He doesn't want to talk about this. Doesn't want to talk about externals or Eurasians or anything like that. Take Ames is in the chat. He's absolutely right. Next week is all about Midlands mayhem. I was in Lisburn Leisure Centre earlier taking my son swimming, and I'm sure I saw Anthony Kakachi walking past. 99% sure it was him. He's fighting against the mighty Sam Bowen. Also Zolani Tete is in action. Chris Jenkins against Liam Taylor. Lerone Richards, Lennox Clark. Sam Maxwell against Connor Parker. Really good card. Let's preview it now in episode 350 of the Nuthouse. Smido's gone. Andy's still with us. So is Rob. So is Ozzy. He's unmuted, unsheathed, ready to go in. Which will be the headliner and which will be the fight of the night, Ozzy?
Tete Casimero will be the headliner. Naturally, world title. It's time to bring Tete time back, isn't it? Real shame he fell out of the World Boxing Super Series, but this is a good fight. This certainly won't be easy. And if Tete can deal with Casimiro in emphatic fashion, then it'll be a bit of a statement. And then look, I think you'd happily say that after that you'd want all roads lead to Inoue. Whether that can somehow happen over here or Tete travels over to America, not too sure. I just hope Tete doesn't get in. I always felt he had a habit, of just getting into, like a bit of a bit boring, to be honest. And just it was just too easy at times. And look, he looked great when we first saw him against Butler, but then at other times he was just quite boring to watch and a bit one-paced. After that, there's some great fights on it. I haven't seen a lot of Conor Parker, but Sam Maxwell we saw last time can be hurt badly off that French guy. Parker 12-0, I think he's won area title levels. That's evenly matched. That could be good. That Hamza Shiraz is fighting Ryan Kelly on the undercard. That's a great fight. That, and if Shiraz isn't on, if the weight doesn't do it. Isn't too much of a deciding factor, I think Kelly could pull off an upset there because he's decent, and I was surprised Shiraz took this fight. The weight just being maybe a touch too much for Kelly because I think he made 140 at one point and naturally a career 147. Lerone Richards, Lennox Clark. Richards is class. He's very good. Just he isn't like one for the public eye. He's an excellent boxer. Just sadly that it doesn't always, get the juices flowing for your more casual fans. Jenkins Taylor will be a war. That will be excellent. I expect to see a lot of cuts in that. Fingers crossed it doesn't decide, or ruin the fight after a couple of rounds. Taylor's bided his time. I think he's been mandatory for about 18 months. But he's decent. John Evans speaks really highly of him and rates the lad as well. I've no doubt that'll be backing Taylor for the win, particularly with the bookies as well. And Jenkins has got a good story behind him. Again, has not had, like favourable decisions, didn't get the rub of the green, or, like cuts have ruined his career at times. And this is a good fight. And then you've got Bowen Kakachi. I like Bowen, big fan, decent style, can hit hard. But I've heard lots of good things about Kakachi as well, and you'll know a hell of a lot more about him than I will, Steve, because he's over at from your neck of the woods. But I think at times people have been frustrated with him because he just doesn't have the dedication to the sport, and if he did, he'd be a hell of a threat. Is that fair to say?
Absolutely. Kakachi never really lived the life as an amateur. At times he hasn't done as a pro. He showed glimpses of his talent. He's a big puncher. He's very skilled, but just about the discipline. If he can knuckle down, then he can definitely win titles. I don't go along with the robbery against Ward. I thought it was a close fight. Don't argue with Ward getting the decision. This is his chance now. He has to take this against Bowen. I think he'll give Bowen a really good fight, but if he's not switched on, he's going to be coming out on the wrong end again.
Yeah. And look, it's a big fight for Bowen because there's a hell of a lot of fights, knocking around. You got Zelfa Barrett, Archie Sharp, particularly moving on up, like past British level. You've got, I think with Stephen Smith coming back, I think a good fight for Bowen would be Stephen Smith. I think it's a fight that he can win, and it'll be a relatively, decent name for, like around a British European level, on his record. I think he could do a number on Smith. But overall, the card's decent. There is 6 competitive fights on there. I don't see what more you want, really. 3 British titles, world title, and a couple of WBO belts, which aren't really relevant. It's more the opponents and the 2 lads in the ring. The belt's just a bit on the side, but no, good card. One I'm looking forward to. I just hope it doesn't go until 1 o'clock in the morning.
Absolutely, it will go on until 1 o'clock in the morning. We all know that. Rapping Rob Kelly, one person who won't be watching it till 1 o'clock in the morning is you. I'm going to give you a bit of credit. I think there's a couple of fights that maybe would take your interest on here. Sam Bowen against Anthony Kakachi and even Tete against Casimiro might get you interested, Rob. Come on.
Nah, not a hope. Not a hope, man. I only want to watch the best fight. I've been watching fights for so long. I only want to watch the world's best fighters fight. So occasionally I'll get invested in someone's story and they come up, but generally I only want to watch world title fights and not interested in anything at domestic level. And if that makes me a casual, so be it. Because the way it's gone at the moment, I couldn't give a fuck anyway, because it's all a joke. But no, on a serious note, no, I really am like that. Like I tend not to watch a lot of domestic fights, like, so I won't be watching that one either. But if it's if it gets good reports, I must admit, say it's a good scrap, I'll go and watch it then back. But I'm not going to sit in and watch it or nothing.
Yeah, I've gone sort of that way myself. I know Andy has to a certain extent cut back on a lot of the shit and just focused on the good stuff. But a card like this, I'll be honest, I will stay in and watch this. I think this is a good show, so I wouldn't limit it to just strictly world-class stuff. I will watch this card probably from beginning to end. Andy, I don't know whether you're going to make a mockery of me now and say there's absolutely no chance in hell you're watching this, but maybe there's a couple of fights of interest. Midlands Mayhem.
What card is that? This is a Tete card. Sorry, I've actually just watched a couple of highlights there actually. So I said Tete Casemiro, that's the one. Yeah, Casemiro. Yes. He's the one that beat Edwards and beat who the fuck was it? It was the Thai guy. Fucking nut job. Done time in jail. Rung. Foot Rung. So
him, yeah.
Tete for me, it's like what you done for me lately. You know, he's never impressed me his last two fights. I was there live in Belfast for the Narvaez fight, who, let's be honest, is a career super flyweight, and Tete is a fucking huge bantamweight dude, and he just didn't fuck all. Did nothing to inspire me. So unless I'm going to say it's a points fight, and I'm going to say Tete maybe just steals it on the cards, but Casemiro definitely a live dog. Ortiz obviously kind of broke down the card, not in kind of greater detail. You're right, Steve. You know, we've got a lot of fights over a lot of networks and stuff, and I'm getting to a point whereas I'd rather just pick out divisions or a fighter that I actually want to follow, because some of the shite we're getting, you know, we've mentioned it before, what Eddie Hearn's serving up for these American cards is borderline Friday night fight cards in the UK. This is, at the minute, as this card goes ahead and stuff like that, I know there are a lot of title fights and stuff like that. I will tune in and watch it for that as well, but for that purpose and that. But Casemiro Tete is a fight I'm going to be hopefully watching, but I'm not going to be watching in any great detail, in all honesty. Sam Maxwell, I suppose, he's in the card and that as well. He had that great turnaround victory against that guy. Was it Sideri or Sabiri, what his fucking name was and stuff like that. So I might tune in to watch him, but nah, other than that, mate.
Eddie, what have you done for me lately?
Fucking nothing, man. You fucking prick.
Well, they all laughed at me before, but I said there's too much boxing on TV at the moment. It means we've got a lot of quantity and not so much quality. They're pushing fights to headline slots and what have you that wouldn't have even been televised a few years ago, so that's just the way it is. Rob, I neglected to mention a question earlier from Terry Woodfine. It's a two-pronged question, so I'm going to throw this at you right now. Going back to Callum Smith against John Ryder, he wants to get your opinion. I know that saying Smith is average might seem harsh, but everything he does is average. He's a huge guy at super middleweight, but his power is average speed, skills in my opinion. His best win is over one-armed Groves, hyped because he's the best of a bad bunch. Hold on, Rob, there's a second part here. So how good is Callum Smith? Where would he stand amongst the super middleweight elite? I genuinely believe he's average and he's top of a shite division.
Well, I think I kind of already answered this one, Steve, if you're paying attention. No, I'm only joking. I don't think he's the best 168 pounder if Canelo's a 168 pounder. I think last night he looked like he couldn't figure Ryder out, which would indicate really that he hasn't got that much of a boxing IQ. Like, he didn't try to really make any adjustments. I thought he looked very shook in round 11. And if Canelo's going to get close to him and start whipping in body shots to him and all that, it's just going to be cannon fodder. Like, I think Canelo beats all the Smith brothers on the same night, Anfield or not. And it's just like, I don't know. I think he's decent operator, but to me, there's nothing to see that I don't think that he would beat Benitez and Caleb Plant. I don't think he'd beat Caleb Plant or Billy Joe even. And Billy Joe didn't look like shit the last night out, so maybe that's the fight for the two of them, because he's not getting fucking Canelo. And then Canelo is not coming to Anfield, Tony Bellew, and he's not afraid of coming to Anfield either. Like, the big fucking $360 million concrete. Oh, come on, let's do it now, you fucking rat, in Anfield. Fuck off. Fucking hell, man. That is outrageous shit, like. And that's the way they're selling fights now. Because every fighter that has a little bit of a fan base or a little bit of a local following, Eddie starts looking at the stadium and putting the stadium in the media. Oh, we're going to do it at St. James's Park. Oh, we'll do it at Upton Park. Oh, we could do it at Highbury. Fucking the Emirates. We're going to do it at Old Trafford. We're doing it at Anfield. He's just saying that shit. He knows fucking full well Canelo's not coming to Anfield, like. Get the fuck out of here, like. The only way Canelo's coming to Anfield is if he's part of some World 11 charity football match where he's playing against, like, fucking the lad that used to be on the Royal Family and fucking Harvey from the Soul Solid Crew, something like that. That's the only way Canelo's coming to fucking Anfield, like. Get a fucking grip, assholes.
Canelo versus Fitzgerald at Preston. You never know, it could be coming soon. I think that's everything I've got. If I've missed you out this week, I do apologise. Anything anybody want to throw out before we get on to the Bellew of the Week's gentlemen? Speak now.
We're talking title fights next week, guy.
You can mention anything you want, Andrew.
Well, I was just wondering, like, so the title fights that we mentioned, EBU external. What was the other one we mentioned? I mentioned it in the chat.
The Eurasian Boxing Parliament.
That's it, Eurasian Boxing Parliament title. Fucking great times, baby. Great times.
Great times indeed. Let's move on to episode 350, Bellew of the Weeks. Rob's here, Ozzy's here, Andy's here. Ozzy's about to jump in.
Yeah, I was going to say, I didn't realise Frampton's back next weekend, isn't he? I forgot about that. He's fighting that.
Yeah. The thing is, to see the guy that we all want to see him fighting, fucking Oscar Valdez, he's actually fighting the guy who got knocked out by a shiver, who was meant to be fighting Carl Frampton.
Oh, God, yeah, he is, yeah.
That's right, that's right.
Yeah, so, is Frampton up...
well spotted, Ozzy, well spotted. It's up here.
Yeah, is Frampton up at Super Feather for that?
No, feather.
£128 catchweight.
Is that what it is?
The guy's fighting's a lightweight though, that's the thing, so might be a tough night for him if he's a legit lightweight.
Yeah, I wonder about that. I saw an interview with Bob Arum, and he said that if Frampton comes through, he wants to go to Windsor Park next summer and take Frampton against Jamal Herring there.
July 12th.
I'd not pass on the day.
Hi. Well, listen, this Tyler McCreary, I saw him in action against Jesse Chris Rosales, who got knocked out either side of the McCreary fight. He only won on a split decision, and he's not great. Frampton's going to beat him for sure.
Can I say something? July 12th next year's actually a Sunday, so the 11th might do, like. You think, Rob?
Yeah, go up, Storm. Rob's not biting.
He's no.
No, sorry. I missed that. What was that, Eddie?
It says Ozzy was saying that apparently Top Ranker saying that Frampton maybe open air at Windsor Stadium next summer. I'm saying July 12th, but apparently July 12th is a Sunday, but they might hold it on the 11th.
Well, I never get an invite, enough, so I don't think I'll be there.
I'll invite you up.
I'll go, man. Let's have a bit of drumming. I'd be into that shit, man. Do a few rhymes over it. Boys would love me to do it.
Bit of beatboxing, like Ali G with the Grandmaster.
That's that legit, man.
Right, boys. Yes, I neglected. Frampton was on one of my tabs here, but I didn't manage to get in on time. There we are. That'll be enough of that. Let's go on to Bellew of the Week then. First nomination I have came in for Ben Postlethwaite. Kaiser Cobra has nominated Mr. Postlethwaite. Talking about John Ryder against Callum Smith. Has John Ryder got a chance? Sky Sports asked before the fight. No chance, says Postlethwaite. Ryder is a bum. Every decent fighter he's fought he's lost to, and only one of them was good in Billy Joe. Then he tagged in Billy Joe Saunders, just for good measure. All of the belts have put up a confirmed fight between Joe Joyce and Marco Huck. Jonathan Powell jumped in. Yes, it's the one we've been waiting for. Richard Lodder nominated him for that. Rob Harold nominated Craigie 4436. If it wasn't for IFL TV, Coogan Cassius and Umar, IFL Umar, I honestly don't believe I would enjoy boxing as much. The interviews during the week get me excited for fight night, and more importantly, with so many weight divisions, keep you up to date. Credit to Michael Benson on Twitter too. So a bit of a double-pronged award for him there. David Almond, a friend of the pod, was talking about Ruiz Joshua. Joshua has terrible fundamentals, an accident waiting to happen. It just so happened against Ruiz, but was always going to. Justice for All jumped in and said, I disagree, David. The fundamentals worked well for him until he changed it prior to the Ruiz fight. He said he wanted to add a little bit of science, and he got some Navy SEAL to train him and added some psychologist in the camp. He is done with all that now and back to his fundamentals. So a nomination for science, psychology, and Navy SEAls.
Psychologists in the camp. Yeah. No lines, it's a psychologist.
Psychologist in the camp. With Navy SEAls. Forget about Lions, it's all about Navy SEAls. Chris McKenna was tweeting about Ryan Martin failing a drugs test. William Lee has also nominated Ryan for failing said test. Friend of the pod, Jason Chukwu, I Fell Asleep, has nominated Enzo Macarnelli for having Kieran Gething versus Jeff Ofori close when Ofori was clearly winning. It must be a Welsh thing. This is an absolute cracker, everybody. On any other week, this would be my winner. Top Rank Boxing introduced a new feature, #Fantasy Fight Fridays, and their first one was nominated by Danny Robson amongst everybody else, Andy. Eric Terrible Morales against Shakur Stevenson. Who would you have if the division's newest champion and a prime featherweight Eric Morales cross paths? So not any old Morales, not a Maidana or a Danny Garcia versus Morales, a prime featherweight Morales against Shakur Stevenson. Who would you have?
Who would I have? By the way, can I just say something? By the way, they don't need to have an ambulance on duty that night. They need fucking Gil Grissom and CSI detectives because Morales between 122 and 130, 135. Oh, that's a push. 130. He's a fucking animal. Shakur Stevenson. Fuck it. Come on.
He'd batter him. I'd watch it. I tell you, I'd watch it.
I mean, the absolute disrespect shown to a guy who was born. No, let's just say a savage. I don't know him in Mexico, right? But the slums of Tijuana, I can imagine it's less than pleasant, right? Right? You've got to demonstrate certain character traits, obviously, to get out of a situation like that. And that means beating shite like Shakur Stevenson, and I mean beating shite like Shakur Stevenson. Daniel Zaragoza, Marco Antonio Barrera, in his peak. Fuck off. Seriously, fuck off.
He fucking obliterated him. Let me put that into context for you. I was in Mexico before, but I was in Cancun, like the party pad. And it was all party, and everyone's partying, and you're tipping the barman $1, and he's like, and then you get outside, you get the bus, and you see families bathing in the river. So I'll give you an indicator, just a small indicator of how tough fucking Tijuana was. Like. And then, because you imagine what Morales would have done to him in light of this footage of him hitting a woman. Ooh, he would have given him an evil beatdown, man. Who was that opponent where he lorded it over him after he knocked him out? I
forget who it was. He stood over him and kind of flexed his muscles.
They had real bad blood in the build up to it, and he really let him have it afterwards. Like,
wasn't Gutierrez Spades, was it? No,
it may have been that one.
Might have been him, yeah.
But I remember he was throwing punches against Barrera in the way and stuff like that. I mean, come on. Morales
he obliterated Shakur Stevenson, obliterated him, made bits of him,
Okay, let's put it in a different perspective then. I remember people fearing for his life when he fought Maidana, and what did he do to Maidana? He made him look I wouldn't say probably ordinary is maybe I wouldn't say ordinary is probably the wrong thing to say, but you know what I'm saying?
Definitely did. He definitely it was pre Maidana with Garcia, wasn't he? He still wasn't with Robert Garcia, and he was basically
badly swollen eye after the first round, and you're like, that's it, fight's over. What does he do? Old man's him. I had that draw in the end, but what a performance by
old man. Yeah. His last great performance. Like
Shakur Stevenson, who's been fast tracked to the Wee Bob organisation fucking title, by the way. Let's be all the way 1,000 about this. Morales would fucking kill him, by the way, and I mean that respectfully.
Yeah, it is a ridiculous nomination. I'm sure there must
be something.
Man. You got Shakur Stevenson, who picked up a vacant title against the lackluster Joet Gonzalez. Best win is a woman in a petrol station, going in against a prime Eric Morales. I mean, this isn't just us being like hardcore helmet fanboys. Prime Morales, like, It's just ridiculous.
Savage,
Right.
Steve. Mr. Steve,
Sorry.
savage.
Moving on, Anthony Joshua has been nominated for drawing a chubby picture of Andy Ruiz. We got a like off Mike Coppinger during the week, actually, for giving John Ryder his props. Lee Wilson, can we have a belly of the week for Paul Smith's interview? That moron is not watching the same fight as me. Indeed, they went to Smigger, and he had our kid up about 7 rounds to 1. Callum against John Ryder halfway through the fight. Very... great perspective from Smigger there. A couple of nominations from Jason Chukwu. Firstly, nomination for Mark Lyson, the referee, for allowing Craig Glover to continue after the second knockdown against Chris Billham-Smith. Totally agree with Andy Lee. The refereeing was shocking. And another one for Tony Bellew during any card, including this one, for being a cheerleader when it comes to Liverpool fighters and for not being impartial. Dr. Nuno has nominated Terence Crawford, 2020, me against Floyd Mayweather. Why not? Yeah, I'm sick of Mayweather. Stop putting yourself in the headlines. Either fight or don't fight, you dick. Cholo, that's Andy. Michael Alexander, Andy, is from the United King, according to Michael Buffer. Who's in better shape, Michael Buffer or James Toney? Because Buffer's washed.
Well, I'll go for Tony in this instance, because Buffer is mega washed, man. Fuck it. He needs to call it. He must be getting made mega millions to fucking be the sole presenter for fucking Hearn. He's washed.
Absolutely done. Paco is nominated. Excuse me, everybody. Andy Lee. I used to enjoy his punditry, but I can't believe what a company man he's turned into. Awful all night. Was commentating on a pre-planned outcome and wouldn't stray from it. Greg Cross is nominated. Honestly, Bellew of the week for boxing tonight. Fucking fuming. Those cards were atrocious. Hashtag justice for John. Smido nominated Bellew. Given the award now, absolute melon. Guillermo Quitondo was nominated, Sky Sports last night, for putting up Kais Ashfaq next to a random fighter. Fucking hell, Ashfaq wasn't even on the card. How do you fuck this up? Putting up the wrong graphic there, Sky Sports. Dev again has nominated Tony Bellew afterwards for saying about Canelo. Come to me. Come to Liverpool, Canelo. Smith's the A-side. Peter Kepi as well. Bellew has to have this week's award sewn up. No danger for saying post-fight that Canelo won't want to face a hungry young fighter like Callum Smith. Smith is 3 months older than Canelo, says Peter Kepi. I'm sure other people have sent me ones, but that's all the ones I've got for now. Anybody else want to throw anything else in? Ozzy, starting with you, any nominations?
Late one in for Kurt there, guys.
No, I don't.
For himself for not coming on?
Oh.
I'm brutal now. No more messing about now, Andy.
Yeah,
straight
Steve,
coming on, right?
Monitor
He's not coming on the pod, but he's coming on something.
Yeah, over those Botox lips, maybe.
Right, I've seen Kevin Mitchell put out a tweet supporting John Ryder, saying it was a joke and a robbery, and who piped up? Liverpool's Tasha Jonas, also part of the Gallagher gang. And,
well, that's who Kurt put up, mate. There.
Oh,
sorry,
is that he's just put up? I've just seen a tweet from it. So she's put up saying basically the boxing public underestimated him, but Callum and Joe didn't underestimate John. She then put up a punch stats to try and support her argument, and the punch stats show that John basically won 8 rounds to 4 on punch stats, or on power shots alone 10 rounds to 2. So well done, Tasha. You've floored your own argument there, Bint. So yeah, Jonas.
Bint claim from Aussie.
Yeah.
Bint.
Go on.
Bint.
Bint. Oh, fucking.
Go on, boys. Any nominations?
Yes, I've got one for Errol Spence. Did you see his mugshot during the week there?
With his bloodshot eye.
His bloodshot eye. He looks like his skin.
With his bloodshot eye.
Aye, and his skin graft fucking scars and that. Fucking hell, dude. If he comes back, period. Never mind if he was a fighter that he once was. If he enters the ring again, I will be mega surprised. If he's anything close to about his peak, fuck, he's on the juice. But dude, again, they're blessed. Fucking seriously, and I hate that term, but he is blessed beyond belief. I want to put in, obviously, I don't mind getting interrupted for John Ryder, but just go back to Lewis Neri for a bit. I want to put him for Bellew of the Week in that as well, because Manny Rodriguez owned his fucking arse big style. Can we just say this? Because this self-important, self-entitled wee arsehole thinks that he can just fucking just wander about that he wants. I'm going to earn $300,000 to Manny Rodriguez's $75,000. Give him it all day, guys. I'm going to miss weight by £1. I can't be fucking bothered by making weight again. Give him it all day. I'll pay Manny Rodriguez just to fucking, just a wee tide over sum, maybe $20,000, maybe $30,000. Not a lot of money. I mean, I've got $30,000 coming, a wee bit of tax, pay my cornerman. I'm clearing at least maybe say $250,000 easily. Nah, baby, no account to Manny Rodriguez, because he's decided he's not playing fucking ball with you, because he kens what you're all about. He kens that you're fucking you're gaming away. He kens you're fucking on the steroids and stuff. He kens that you're fucking got that. Can we just say, Steve? Sorry, put us in here about this WADA protocol that China, fighters from China, Mexico, and somewhere in Central America, I want to say Honduras. I might be wrong with that. They have been told by WADA if they fail drug tests for clenbuterol, it must be under a certain amount, and if it is, they will be classed to be negative for a drugs test, right? So this wee dick has now got a ready-made excuse for failing tests for clenbuterol, which can be used for fucking stripping weight, right? No, this guy, his shit's been called, he's missed weight, drugs tests, and he's tried to buy himself, like Floyd Mayweather did against Marquez, into a fucking fight. And Manny's just said, no, I ain't playing ball with you. And fair play to the guy, because he's lost out $75,000 as well. A training camp, having to pay his expenses, probably flights and hotels. He's probably in America and that as well, having to pay his family to come across and that. So he's out of pocket. But he's decided, nah, if I'm out of pocket, Ned's out of pocket as well. Fuck you. Six-figure sum down the fucking Swanee. Fuck Lewis Neri.
Absolutely. Ozzy, you got something to say there, sir?
No, negative. I just didn't mute myself.
Negative?
That's not something you hear in boxing these days very often, is it?
Yeah, I was going to say that, mate.
Where's the B sample?
Yeah, mate. Listen, I've said it before. Boxing is sweet science, but I tell you what, it's less sweet and more science these days.
Shit.
Porky, you're a hater!
Rapping Bob Kelly's had enough, he's disappeared. It's got to be... Has everybody put their nominations in? Rob, did you have any nominations?
Yeah, I had to give a special one for Bellew this week, for his own award, absolutely on fire. And not only that, not only his performance on the fucking Smith Ryder show, but he was asked during the week in this Behind the Gloves, where they had Bellew in, David Hay, Paulie Malignaggi and Carl Froch and Johnny Nelson all talking about Ruiz Joshua, and they asked everybody for a one-word answer, who's going to win, and remarkably all five of them said AJ, but Bellew was the only one that gave the one-word answer. He was like, AJ, straight away. Fucking shithead. He's unbelievable. And Canelo coming to Anfield. You could see apples and pears getting behind that, couldn't you? Getting Canelo to wear an Everton jersey and come to the ring with fucking Lee Casley. What a fucking joke. So Bellew in particular this week to win his own award, fucking prime example. Just leave him alone. His
name's Anthony, not Tony.
Indeed,
Anthony.
Will.
His name's Anthony.
Crying like a little bitch.
Not Tony. It's Anthony.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to announce, joining on the call, Andy, is the one and only Gabriel Mohammed Lewis Sr. How are you, Gabe?
He's crying like a little bitch.
Fucking great.
How's it going, fellas?
Gabe, you're about 2 hours late. Hate to break it to you.
Yeah, that's alright. I knew I was going to be late.
You doing a joke up?
Better late than never. Deontay Wilder. What happened, Gabe? Tell us your lowdown on the big Arkansas. Is he from? Where's he? No, Alabama. Bellew of the week for me. Go on, Gabe. What about Wilder Ortiz?
I thought Ortiz was doing really good, controlling the fight, controlling everything about the fight, and then in one foul swoop, he got turned just wrong. And I think you saw what Wilder's been working on, probably in the gym, was straightening out that right hand a little bit. and not telegraphing it so much. And he caught him right upside the head. I mean, right in the forehead. Beautiful punch. And Ortiz, even though he was trying to look stone-faced, his eyes told the tale. And good fight. I mean, that was an interesting fight because Ortiz, I had him up. What round did it end? 5-1? The 7th round? 6th round? I know I only had Wilder with one round. I thought Ortiz was controlling pretty much the whole thing. If he just hadn't have been unfortunate there. But, I mean, that just shows you the how level the playing field is whenever Wilder's right hand is involved. I mean, what a tremendous punch. It wasn't even well placed, I don't think. Well timed maybe, but not where he probably wanted to land. But it landed well. That's all we needed.
That's all she wrote. Wilder knocking out Ortiz. Theme for the weekend. We're on the Bellew of the Weeks, everybody. Ozzy, who are you going for? I'm going for Anthony Bellew this week. Who's got your vote?
Oh, yeah, that wanker Bellew, without a doubt.
That's 2 for Tone. Andy, another one for Tony for you. Make it a threesome.
Yeah, I can probably go for Tony as well. There's no Lewis Nery's a kind of close second. That's more serious actually. But Tony is just like proper homeboy. Plus, Glover took a huge L there last night as well. So it wasn't a good round for Tony. I think he had one fight on the card that maybe won as well. But nah, Tony's just leave him alone, alright? Just leave him alone for fuck's sake. Oh, by the way, can I just say something to Eddie Hearn? Evening, Eddie.
Evening, Eddie. Hello. Eddie, hey, what have you done for me lately?
Oh, girl, you're going to... Can I just say something, baby? Can I just put a Bellew of the Week in for Anthony Joshua's black eye? He got picked up in sparring. His droopy eye there, man.
Joshua's been on a bad one this week as well, hasn't he? Wants the world to bow at his feet now.
Oh,
beats
God,
Ruiz.
yeah.
He's on a crazy one. Like, Ruiz living in his head, man. Living in it. Living in America.
Then he wants, if he beats Andy Ruiz, he wants people to bow down at his feet and show him respect.
What a nutcase.
You're right.
Threatened my life.
Mentally gone. He is mentally gone before 5 weeks even arrive.
There is only one man who was born from his mother's vagina could come out and say that such a statement and will never be beaten. You know who I'm talking about.
Andy, did you notice during the week something about your idol and friend Roberto Duran? He's now registered as an official Bieber coach.
I didn't see that because he's coming across to the UK to carry out some sort of training course or some gym events. So as a result of that, you've got to be licensed under British rules or something, I think so. So Bieber's licensed the guy. I seen that during the week there, aye.
It's got to be Bellew this week. Like,
go on then, Robbie, you're going for Bellew of the Week.
It's got to be Bellew. Like, got to be Bellew for his comparison alone to when Floyd Mayweather beat Marcus Maidana. Everybody gave Maidana more rounds because they did better than they expected. First of all, no, they didn't. Maidana won a fair share of rounds in that fight. Anyone with eyes can see that. And second of all, anyone with eyes can see that Ryder was the winner last night. So to sit there and say that Smith was landing the heavier shots and one more of those shots he was going to knock Ryder out. When? Just pathetic, and leave him alone. It's not like he's available to do behind the gloves for a heavyweight contest for the heavyweight title of the world to give his insights there. Leave him alone. He just wants to be left alone. That fucking prick. Let's do it right now, you fucking rats.
There you go, Tony. The Bellew of the Week is indeed named after you. You are the winner this week of the esteemed Bellew of the Week for episode 350. Thank you to everybody who's jumped on this evening. We shall finish up now. Andy Patterson's be with us as usual. Ozzy Smith, Gabe Lewis jumped on at the end, offering his advice and words of wisdom. Rapping Rob Kelly,
by the way,
Patreon
subscribers, 350, not to be sniffed at. Just saying there, like, you know what I mean? 350 episodes on a Sunday night. Not bad going.
Coming in your ears every Sunday evening. 351 will be next week. Naturally, that's the way numbers work.
That's over a year of Sundays.
Yeah, get your wallets out, you bastards. Anyway, we had a couple of guests on. John Ryder coming on, explaining his defeat to Callum Smith. Also, Liam Dillon, good luck to him next week. fighting for the English super featherweight title over in Steve Goodwin's show. We'll get Liam on again in the future. Been messaging him back and forward, good guy. As I said, back for next week, episode 351. Like, subscribe, do all those things if you want to. 5 stars. Leave us a funny 5-star review on iTunes and I'll read it out next week. The funnier the better. Give us some abuse. Give us a bit of. We haven't had a bit of a good bit of abuse lately, so make your abuse known. Gabe Lewis, thanks to you as well. I think I mentioned that already. I've been Steve Wellings. Catch you all again, same time, same place next week. Bye.